Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com. Shop there today. And make yourself look good. Welcome, everybody to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. It is going to be a fantastic show here. We have ufologist, skywatcher, good friend Tom King stepping in the building, doing what everybody should be doing and trying to gather data at a ground level. Awesome stuff. Hopefully we have some really good stuff to look at here, hours 1 and 2. Also, we have the return tonight of Drew Banke with the After Hours wrap up. Only for a short time, though. He's still in the process of getting things going. But he'll be here with us for hour 3, along with Steve Stockton Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries, and maybe some UFO and weird news. We'll see what happens. We'll see where we want to go here tonight. And tomorrow, we'll be taking the day off to celebrate my birthday. And, yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the chat, see who's come on in here first tonight. And courtesy of Race Fan, I was sent this, looks like a little earlier. He says Kitty Cattywack comes in with the gold. Eternal comes in with the silver. Race Fan comes in with the bronze. Race Fan with the gold comes in with the bronze. Thank you so much for coming on in here tonight. Also, we have Mel WD40 coming on in, getting us lubed up for the show because that is his job and he does it so well. Also, we have Roger Murray coming in and dropping some gems on us. Happy birthday, Rob G. Appreciate you. Also, hope you enjoyed the 4th of July Independence Day. Wasn't attacking of the aliens. Yeah, no Independence Day with aliens this time, right? However, if you go to my channel, Social Dig, you'll see a fantastic fireworks display. Probably 100,000 fireworks fired off within this video. If you want something relaxing to watch with the family, go on over to the channel and check it out. Also, we're starting the show a little late, so I know we're not going to get to everybody, but I promise we will on the break. Let me see, jumping back in here, JSCO77. Appreciate you coming on in. We got Road Flare. Hey, Road Flare, thanks for coming on in. Let's see. Moving down the list. I'm going to have to go ahead and start the podcast side. Let's go ahead and do that right about now. Start the podcast side of this here. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Tonight's going to be an awesome show. We have UFO skywatcher, experiencer, and the man who filmed Phoenix Lights, Tom King, in the building. Stepping on in here with us here for hours 1 and 2, we have Drew Banky stepping in as well. Hour 3 with the tales of the after hours wrap up, and also Steve Stockton with Tales Untold, Mr. Person Mysteries. It's going to be a fantastic show, guys, and we're going to start right about now. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You've just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight, we're broadcasting on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, you can access our archives absolutely free. YouTube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram @SpacedOutRadio, @SpacedOutRadioShow. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SR Newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock off to the man you hear right there, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot, and so much more. It's going to be a fantastic show tonight. We have the man behind the Phoenix Lights, Tom King, stepping in the building, talking UFO sky watching, maybe some recent captures, and just the state of ufology. Hours 1 and 2. We'll jump into after hours wrap up with Drew Banky. Also, Steve Stockton Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries. Hour 3. Action-packed show before we step out for tomorrow and celebrate the birthday. We know there's birthday wishes out there, and I appreciate everyone who is a part of that as well. Without a further delay, we're going to go ahead and get ready to jump right on into the show. Our guest is out back, and we've had him here before, and this is one thing that I like to point out, which we'll talk about, is, being able to sit out there and capture your own UFO data. It's very important for each one of us to do what we can to try to add to this puzzle, figure this weird thing out called phenomena, and see where it is that we're going, right? This is what it's all about, why we get together. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our guest for the night. Once again, encore performance, Tom F. King. Hey, Tom King, how you doing here tonight?
I'm doing great, Rob. Thanks for having me back, and happy birthday for tomorrow. Mine was last week, and there's a number of people in the ufology research area, what do you want to call it, they have a lot of June and July birthdays.
Well, happy belated birthday to you, sir. And that is very strange. And I don't know what it is about the cancer. Maybe it's cancer. We'll have to look into that, figure out what the ties are there. But yeah, I have a few other family members with July birthdays too, coming up in the next few days. My grandmother, my sister, my nephew. So it's a busy July, but it's birth month for me. So I celebrate every single day of July, and we're going to do a little bit more of that here tomorrow. So with that being said, Tom, we've talked for a long time. I've witnessed you kind of involve yourself in different aspects of sky watching, going on different ventures and coming back with data. And I've always looked up to you for that, as well as picking up ideas on how I could be better when I go out to attempt to look for UFOs, and just being prepared and being ready. And I preach that a lot of the time on this channel, about just being ready to capture, because you never know what you're going to capture. Some people use muscle memory to take pictures of birds and planes, and it's a good practice to do because it gets you ready for the real thing. What do you think about that?
You're exactly right. Some UFO captures are amazingly, many of them are from cigarette smokers. People still smoking cigarettes in 2025, or they're walking their dog. I'd say probably half of our UFO collection out there from civilians is from dog walking and cigarette smokers. And you're right, you have to be ready at any time and have that muscle memory, because you're recording it not only for yourself, but for everyone else. That was what went through my mind during the Phoenix Lights capture. I had a job. It was to show up and record anything that unfolded in front of us. And I did exactly that. And I left pretty much happy that I completed what I had set out to do. And yeah, back in the day, I had a big VHS and AG450, I think the Panasonic camera, And that thing was huge. It was like holding a ghetto blaster. And I carried that in the car. I carried that everywhere. And I had that behind the door at any time ready to go. Now we have phones.
Yeah, and you said one thing very important to me because I say it all the time. Like you taking these pictures isn't for yourself; it's for everyone else, and that's the selfless part of this. And one reason why I like, highlighting people like yourself because you go out into the field and you do it selflessly. You go out and you spend this money, you spend time going through videos, and you're not doing this for you. You're doing this for everyone else. And I always, trying to tell people that there's something you could find to do within this. It could be something small, it could be something big, but just do your part when it comes to getting these answers. And even if that means bringing some of the photographs you have taken and bringing them forward. So very important. I'm so glad you started off with that. For a lot of people who are like, who is this Tom King guy? They should know if they're in the community, but kind of let them know why your name rings in the UFO community.
Well, I'm best well known for, I'm one of the camera people that recorded the Phoenix Lights. So with that case, in a quick review, there was one video of the boomerang object that flew down the state, very short video. And then there were 4 other videos of the 10 p.m. lights. I was one of those people that was out capturing it. I know people have seen my video before. A lot of people seen my voice or heard my voice where I said major sighting, because I knew immediately what was unfolding was not normal. It was not a normal UFO capture, that we were witnessing something extraordinary, and didn't really get the depth of how big the sighting was until the next day when I got home from work. And my answer machine was full of TV reporters saying, word from the grapevine, you got footage from last night, can we see it? And then from there, spent about 2 years on that case, investigating that. Then I moved from Tempe to Chandler, 1998. My capture started in 1995, so I've been doing this for 30 years. And then I got involved with a case called Bubba, which was a red light that was reappearing for about 4 years until 2004. I took a break for a while, got into robotics and a number of other things instead of ufology. So I successfully quit, because this field, once you get hooked, is like heroin addiction. It's hard to get off this, How do you stop watching Mr. Rob G, Dave, some of these stuff? It's amazing. So I successfully got out of it. My daughter convinced me to look back into this stuff. And 2015, and when I did, we moved beyond VHS, high 8. We were into beyond HD, and 4K was coming out. So I started a YouTube channel called 4K Skywatching. And the channel hasn't really grown that much. I've grown. I've become an expert now. I spent the last decade, put tens of thousands of dollars into this in gear. My average credit card bill for this is between $1,200 to $2,000 a month. Every month spent in investment in gear, adventures, going out skywatching and whatnot. So that's kind of a nutshell of where I've went through this field.
And you wake up every day, and it's like the first day all over again. That's how it feels for me, and I feel like you love this as much as I do, or you are in tune with it as much as I am. And so I have to imagine it feels like that for you every single day. Every piece of new data you get, it is. Tell me how you feel about that.
Well, at this point now, Rob, I'm kind of validating a lot of captures I've had prior, to the point I'm getting now a compilation videos of here's the object from this year, and then this year, and then this year, and this year. Back when I started buying more of this gear, I averaged to capture about every 6 months to 9 months. I would stumble across something and record it. Now I have so much gear running that if I focus on this, I get something about once every week or two, depending on how much gear I'm using. This year I invested heavily into this, and I have my own radar system set up here.
Wow.
And it's I have a military mask that I bought, and I kind of got head over heels into this before I even knew what I was doing. And I bought a 400-pound air pneumatic mask that's basically an aluminum palm tree, if you will, that goes up and down however I want it. And on top of that payload, I have a 4K camera, a GPS heading indicator, and I have marine radar on it. So I'm using kind of the same type of system in a way that the Tedesco brothers are using with radar to track. So what they're doing is excellent work. I got to say, I love what those guys are doing. I don't understand a lot of it because we're not electrical engineers, right? But I want to say, people like you that have podcasts like this know a lot more about ufology than I do, because I'm siloed off in my bubble that I live in, which is Arizona. And every night or so you have on a new guest, and you get to hear the totality of their summation of their knowledge. Then you move on to the next guest. I don't get that stuff. I'm stuck here in Arizona with my researcher friends and whatnot. And so I know everything about Arizona, but there's other teams like me in other cities doing stuff, and we're all kind of siloed off. And by you having us on, you get to learn the best of what we learn. So I got to say that when a lot of podcasters that actually do stuff like you and Spaced Out Radio, the hosts know more than the guests. Give it some time.
I can understand that too, and I often talk about that. I feel so blessed and just lucky to be in a position where I get to talk to all these for the exact reason you just said. There is, I get to pick the brains, and then I get to take the nuggets that I need from that, and it actually allows me to have a more balanced picture of what's going on. And the one thing you just said that I think there's maybe something wrong with is the fact that everyone is siloed off within, the UFO community as far as data goes. Because I wanted to get into, there's Skywatcher out there right now, which is a new group also watching skies, collecting data. And I'm going to want to get your point of view on what you think they're doing, if you think it's cool what they're doing. But I did want to rewind real quick, because as you were giving your opening statement there, you talked about this recurring light that was happening for 4 years, this red light. I don't think I've ever heard of that story or that case. What was going on with that?
Okay. Do you remember the Gulf Breeze sightings from 1993 with Ed Walters? And that case, that was all over the news back in the days when Tim White from Sightings had a television show and encounters and whatnot. That was the go-to UFO hotspot in Gulf Breeze, Florida. We had the Gulf Breeze 6 group that defected from the military intelligence from Europe, went to Gulf Breeze, got arrested. We had the Ed Walters case. Nobody knows to this day where that guy is. There's no follow-up on him. We had a case there called Bubba. And Bubba was a red light that would show up every night or every other night in the Gulf Breeze area. The late Dr. Bruce Maccabee got involved with this. MUFON was involved with this. And there were 175 sightings in 1 year alone of Bubba. When they would show up, and Bubba was a red light. When they would show up in one area, Bubba would be over another area of the Gulf Breeze Sound. They'd go over there, and it was playing with them. So this thing went away. Then it moved to the Phoenix area where I live, Chandler Gilbert. Started showing up about 2 to 3 times a month. And since I could film it from my backyard, I get to do all the science type stuff with this sighting that I couldn't do with the Phoenix lights. I got to put a telescope on it. I got to drive under it, chase it down with the car, get underneath it, set up a tripod, shoot off a roll of 35 millimeter film, shine it with the light, listen to it with an electronic ear to see if it made any sound. I had the neighborhood around Chandler Gilbert working together to triangulate some of these sightings. This was a safety issue where it was at the height of air traffic, about 3,000, 4,000 feet. So all that Phoenix air traffic coming into land or take off was directly flying around where this thing was. 9/11 happened. I thought, okay, is this going to come up? Because if it does now, it's going to get chased by a 16th. Waited about 4 months, and then it came back. So this occurred over and over and over until about 2014. And a lot of us just got burnt out and tired of it. One of the people that discovered it through binoculars in '99 and saw it. Said it looked like a black translucent triangle with a red light in the center. He was also the last person who saw it in 2004, Armando. And he saw it through a telescope. And at that sighting, he said it was road balloons and flares. So if Bubba was a real UFO, and someone wanted us to think that, eventually the case got muddied by debunkers or something, saying we're going to, poison the well with fake stuff. So that was what happened for 4 years with that case.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that. And so it's cool for you to share it. And you made also a comment there that is very important. You talked about the Tedesco brothers, which shout out to them. I also want to see the type of data that they've been collecting. I know they've been in and out the news. But that also moves me into where you stated that with this Bubba, people started kind of, moving on essentially from the sighting. And I felt that way. The last time we talked was prior to this New Jersey drone situation. I kind of felt that way with the drone situation. Now, let me start by asking you this. As far as Phoenix lights go, do you think they're alien or not? Would you say alien or not?
I'm going to stick with what I said with back in the day, that the case from the sighting that came down I-17, basically the boomerang, I think that was alien craft. That was not made by humans. Now, what happened at 10, I'm pretty sure was military flares. That ended up being one of the tapes I filmed. There's some people who won't give that up because they got books. They got stuff to sell you, so they're sticking with 10 p.m.s. Weird, but and I don't think 10 p.m. was a distraction because of what happened earlier. That was happening anyway. That's why I got invited. I was invited because I was going to see orange orbs. These flare drops from the Maryland National Guard and rotating air forces through Tucson using that base. That was going to happen anyway. That was happening. We found out later through the investigation that these orange lights were seen in January and February and March. And then after that sighting, I went out and filmed them in May and in June. We're doing the flare drops. They don't do 6, 7 in a line all the time. They do it sometimes, but that's just military training out there. We had to become aware of this and grow from it and move on. That's what I've done with the 10 p.m. There's a couple people that haven't. They're still sticking with that. That was flares. So it's a strange case. With that, we can just learn and go on. But to answer your question, yeah, the 830 stuff, that was alien. Those are big triangular or boomerang-shaped craft. It was about 700 feet long. And after that was a triangular craft that was about 2 miles long, according to the eyewitnesses.
And to put this into perspective, alien craft at the 8 o'clock sighting. So being that they put on this sort of display, meaning the extraterrestrials, what do you think the reason that they were doing that? Do you think they were trying to be seen, or what do you think the reasoning was, if you had to guess, behind why they put on a display like that?
And that is the best question to ask, because after all these years, Rob, I asked myself, why? We know it happened. And I think, a lot of people will never explain the first, major event, but why did that happen? I think it was my theory is they got upset. What did the federal government do at the time to make these things upset to the point where they said, you want to see an Independence Day for what you did that we don't know about, the federal government did? Well, then we're going to come right to the cusp of invasion. And that's about what they did on March 13th. There was a lot of big craft that flew over besides the boomerang. So the answer is really what did the aliens do? What did the government do to get them upset? What did the Clinton administration do that's top secret we don't know about? Shoot some of these craft down? Because if you go through Peter Demcourt's database and you read, one of the sightings that night was a crash in the White Tank Mountains, White Tank Mountains is right next to Luca Air Force Base. So if that's true, on March 13th, it was also a parade of craft coming down the state, plus a recovery operation. Why was something crashed on that mountain? Was it shot down? We don't know all the answers. Everything's always classified.
Do you think that those extraterrestrials in that moment were attempting to display themselves to the general public and to totally be seen by everyone? Do you think that was the purpose?
Yeah, there's some sightings you hear about where one person sees it and the person next to it doesn't. The only thing we had in that case with the 830 boomerang was one person would look up at it and say, that's up 300 feet. The person next to him would say, that's up 10,000 feet. So, that's just because people aren't trained observers. They're just out walking their dogs and smoking their cigarettes and doing whatever. Same type of observation where we had witnesses that landed, military people, and they landed at Luke Air Force Base, just got there, and the base was on alert, and they said, we saw something the size of a mountain fly over town and shut the base down. So we'll never know. It's just going to go down as just a well-documented case. The debunker group, they like to say that everyone was mistaken, and there were A-10s that flew down the state and then dropped some flares, and that's it. These people never investigated this. I did. Now, I have a FOIA. Bill Hamilton asked from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base that I want all the activity of that night. And we got it back. We got the signatures of 5 pilots, and those were the pilots from the Maryland National Guard. They took off from Tucson, and they landed back in Tucson. I have the proof. They didn't take off from Las Vegas, fly down the state, and drop stuff. This is the disingenuous stuff from the guerrilla debunkers group that controls Wikipedia, and they try to control the entire narrative of ufology through that.
Do you think there is any link to, and I don't know how far you are from here, but Sedona? So the activity is going on in Sedona. Ross Coulthard recently had gone out there and said he witnessed by himself some sort of orb being escorted by military craft. Do you think Phoenix Lights ties into anything that people think is going on in Sedona?
That's a great question. I was in Sedona, about 10 days ago, and did a Skywatch with Melinda Leslie, and me and Rhonda went up there and sat down with her and confirmed every single thing pretty much that Ross talked about. Ross does a great job. That he's one of the few people at the top of the UFO pyramid, so to speak, that goes out and interviews the little people. The ones that they could have excellent evidence, but it will never get on News Nation. It'll never be seen on CBS or nothing, because Corbell comes out with a blob that's horrible video and sucks up the oxygen of all ufology, because he doesn't look out for the little guy. He only releases stuff that he has the IP for. He doesn't have the rights to somebody's orb video from, say, Sedona or wherever, so he isn't going to promote it because he can't, because he makes himself the story, not the witness, not the video, not the evidence. But as far as Sedona, that was disturbing. I went up there. I released some raw footage. I do a podcast on Fridays.
And actually, let's stop right there, Tom. We'll pick this up right after the break. Actually, we're going into the first break of the night right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show, with our guest Tom King, talking Phoenix Lights, Sedona, and a lot more. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere. Come right back right here, Spaced Out Radio. All right, we are clear. We are clear. Thank you for the awesome super chat, Richard Minnick, saying, yeah, Tom effing King. Woo-hoo. That's right. As the middle initial forever is F. Tom F. King. They were saying that's Tom F. King right there. Guys, as I go ahead and say, I know I missed a whole lot of you this morning because we started a little bit late. So we made sure I go back and get you all real quick here. I know Roger Murray, we said hello. You gave us some great knowledge this morning. David Nuremberg, didn't get to you. Thanks for coming in. Sasha, same as well. Hey guys, happy late 4th. Same to you. And once again, go to my channel. Awesome firework show there. About 100,000 fireworks let off. Go after this show tonight. It's relaxing. Get you a little cup of something and watch it. Yeah. Paul Demond, same to you. Thanks for coming on in. Grace as well. Thanks for coming on in, Grace. Let's see. Moving back here. I think I got you, JSC 077, November 11, 1987. Ed Walters, a contractor in Gulf Breeze, Florida, was allegedly immobilized briefly by a blue beam, after which he took 5 Polaroids of an object in the sky outside his home. Awesome, awesome. Thanks for dropping that knowledge on us, JSCO. And let's see. Parasolo. Hey, Parasolo. Thanks for coming on in. Magneticus, Attractus. Still, have you built the time machine yet, Magneticus? That's what I need to know. Time is running out. Is time even relevant if you built the time machine? We'll talk about that later. Grace, thanks for coming on in here. Appreciate you showing up. Let's see. Delilah's in the building. Hey, Delilah, thanks for showing on up. Also, Miss Mary, thanks for coming on in. Mark Eddy, hey, Mark Eddy, thanks for showing up here tonight. Bob Berkins, thanks for coming in as well. Kim Jellin, thanks for coming on in. She's listening and multitasking. Appreciate you coming in. Guy Merritt coming on in here on 18th. Could have almost hit that triangle with the rock. I'm 73 and I've never been that scared before nor since. I would be too. I always, whenever I go out, take the trash out at night or do anything at night, first thing I do is, as soon as I get up under the skies, I look up in each direction immediately. That's what I do. And I haven't seen anything yet in that sense, but I just know that at one of those times, I'm going to look up and see that triangle everybody talks about. And it's going to scare me too, for sure. Corey stepped in the building saying, Mr. Rob G's the man. Thanks for coming on in, Corey. We appreciate you showing on up. And I think Hillbilly Herb, thanks for coming in. And I think that Watch Gift, okay, Watch Gift, new name. Let's see. Moving back, that might be, nope, Joseph Daniel Pena, appreciate you coming on in. And Ethanol, thanks for showing up. Poncho Zork. The Jaquetta, thanks for coming in. And the Jaquetta saying, Rob G, marry me. I will marry you. I will marry you. Yes, the answer is yes, the Jaquetta. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see here. Flat 6, thanks for coming on in. Okay, I think that might be it. Grace. Hi, Grace. Yeah, okay. Now it looks like we're current. We are current. Sasha, Mr. Rob G, is it your birthday? Technically, it was the 3rd, but in July I celebrate the whole month. And it was during the week, obviously, so I really didn't get a chance to do much per se. So I will be doing something this weekend, which will be tomorrow. Hanging out with Tom King tonight, and here on the show, and then I'll be doing something tomorrow. So, yeah.
I do just 1 week for my birthday. But I eat a month's worth of food in that week. I've hit Olive Garden so many times and gained a bunch of weight, so just trying to lose it all back.
Olive Garden, that should go to? Okay.
That's one of the places.
Yeah, since it's mine's the 3rd, so it's right against the 4th. It's always barbecue for sure. But that's given. I want to do something outside of that, so that's what we'll be doing Sunday. So I just knocked off the barbecue and the tri-tip and stuff like that. And now we'll get into something fun tomorrow. And a lot of drinks.
I could do a month. Yeah. I drink a lot of coffee. That's what I drink.
Well, see, a month you get to over a month's time, you have run across all your friends and family members. So you get to pull the birthday card wherever you go. So even 3 weeks from now, if I find myself in Vegas, I still get to pull the birthday card and they'll do something for me out there. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun.
I like that plan.
We got 4 seconds left. Coming back from break, guys. Here we go. All right, everyone. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Tom King, Mr. Phoenix Lights, talking UFO, talking about back then, also captures from now. We'll be getting into that and a lot more pretty soon here. Also, we'll be taking your questions later in the show. If you missed anything that we do tonight, archives are 100% free. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio as we get right back into the show. Tom, you were in the middle. We were talking about the Phoenix Lights and maybe how they could interact with Sedona. You talked about you went out with our friend Melinda Leslie, sky watching. You were kind of in the middle of that story if you want to pick that back up.
Yeah, she is an excellent sky watcher. I heard of her, reputation precedes her. And what I found is she is an advanced sky watcher. I come across people who don't know what they're doing. And that's okay as long as they're doing it. And I kind of can see where they're at. And she is somebody who's been doing this for a very long time. She is not a person who confuses orbs with satellites. So some people are going to say, well, it's just all satellites. I went out there and I used her night vision. I brought my own equipment, which is about close to Gen 3 that records in HD. And it recorded about an hour's worth of stuff. And there is so much stuff moving around from Starlink to orbs to military helicopters. You can't really figure it all out because it's information overload. What I can say is what really got me were those helicopters or whatever they were. I brought a bunch of gear to set up tripods and to capture this really good, but I ended up with just whoever booked that night. So, and we went out with basically no moon, which is the best time to go. So if you're going to go up to Sedona and go to one of these trips, time it around the moon cycle. So I didn't want to set up tripods where it's pitch black and have people falling over them, So I just handheld it and raw dogged that thing. And what got me were those helicopters. What in the heck are 14 to 19 helicopters doing 5 to 7 miles northwest of Sedona? I recorded the GPS position of our skywatch in the direction we were pointing. When I got back, I looked at what could account for those helicopters. I can't account for them. They're not on the flight radar. They're not on. This is every night, by the way. So there's nothing over their flight radar ever that can account for this. There's not in the ADSB. So I'm going to go down there next time, probably with some friends of mine, and set up basically a grid watching system where we're going to watch some of these hills. We're going to leave these cameras rolling for hours, and we're going to time how long these choppers are in the sky, because then we can estimate when they're running out of gas and where they're heading to when they're running out of gas. And I know that they're not coming from the Prescott Airport. There's just a few Cessnas there. There's not a helicopter area for 19 helicopters. Now, the other place they could come from is Camp Navajo, which is a U.S. Army training center for the Army. They don't have the helicopter infrastructure that I know of for this, because we're talking gas, we're talking pilots, we're talking mechanics. And what? For what? To hover up in the sky for a few hours, burning taxpayer money. And then if they're coming from a secret base they're talking about, why? Why are they coming out just to hover, for a few hours? So I'm determined to take this a little farther than Melinda has, of just showing people, to go deeper and triangulate whose helicopters these are, where they're coming from, and if there's a secret base, and get in a whole lot of trouble figuring this out. So that's just one of the things that I'm looking at. So if that's related to the Phoenix Lights, I don't know. But the whole state here has so much going on. All those Border Patrol videos you saw that were leaked, Arizona. Phoenix Lights, Arizona. Photo the day before the Roswell crash from Phoenix. We had a Kingman UFO case where they landed and gave up a UFO. Where the state is rich and UFO stories and evidence.
Wow, that is very interesting. I didn't realize all the Border Patrol videos were coming from the region of Arizona. It makes you think. Now, also with the going out with Melinda and then validating, it was awesome seeing her on News Nation as well, getting her recognition there. Ross swears he saw what he saw. Now you're confirming that as well. When you went there, did you witness the orbs themselves accompanied by the helicopters, or just the helicopters, or what exactly did you see?
The raw footage is on my podcast from a couple of weeks ago. So you can look at that. You'll see basically we can't even tell they're helicopters because we have to film it on tripods to watch how they're moving. But there's a lot of you'll see the navigation lights on these things.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is this a New Jersey drone situation where we think these are FAA approved things and they're not at all? And nobody knows what these are. The military doesn't have the infrastructure to account for them. If you start looking around the Arizona map, the only thing that's weird about that area is that's a U.S. ammo dump. If you look at that from Google Map, you will see hundreds, if not thousands, of bunkers where the U.S. Army stores ammunition. They store stuff like bullets, they store rockets, but I don't think they store nukes. But I'm determined to figure that out in a few months, just closing in on at least whose helicopters these are. And then once I hike in there, I'm going to leave behind my little friend, the 4K owl camera, which I can put this and watch Sedona remotely from my location and broadcast live what the hell's going on there.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about, man. That sounds exciting. And then to kind of get into that, because I didn't think about that till you just said that maybe it could be potentially what we were looking at with the New Jersey drones, something that appears to be blinking FAA. And that's been my focus the whole time. I've always said that UFOs could come here and mimic our FAA pattern lights. They can do that at any time. So a lot of people that look at that blinking pattern and say, oh, that's not a UFO because it's blinking in a certain pattern. I don't believe that is enough for you to just say it's not a UFO. So with the New Jersey drone situation, how did you feel about that coming into it initially? We haven't talked since that happened. What did you think about that?
Well, that was really weird initially because these were coming out of the ocean. And if you follow what the Tedesco brothers are doing, I've talked to them on the phone for a bit. They have recorded about 30 to 60 of these drones objects coming out of the ocean. I think it was in 2020 before the New Jersey flap happened. So that was already kind of on their UFO radar, so to speak, that they knew of this happening, and they have video of it. So then when this happened with the New Jersey drones, there was a mix of stuff flooding social media. We had actual orb videos. We had videos of orbs transforming into what looked like DJI-type drones. We had people confusing aircraft with UFOs. And then it became a mass hysteria, where everybody wanted to get involved with Me Too, and they look up and they see an airplane and go, look, drone. And that's when we go, look, you people don't know what you're doing. You're trying to jump on the bandwagon, and all of a sudden, instead of looking down for most of your life on your phone, you start looking up, and you don't have no idea what flies around the sky. You don't know about flight radar. You don't know about ADS-B. You don't know anything. So they just get all convinced. There's videos I'd love to find that show orbs transforming into, and I'm talking orbs, energy balls of light transforming into drones. Now, I couldn't find some of that stuff. It got lost in the flood the zone of videos back then. But we have orb videos that were shot here in North Phoenix to compare. And they're not transforming into drones. These are orbs a friend of mine shot that are 60 feet away from an iPhone. I mean, they landed right in front of him. And there were times he tried to shoot him with the gun. Didn't turn out well for Chris. He lays some of these drones. I mean, he's got these things, multiple videos of just what looks like a baseball-sized energy. So as far as where we're at with ufology, we're past our UFOs are real. We're now trying to figure out what categories of UFOs there are. The people like Mick West, they're living in Little House on the Prairie mentality, backwards humans from another day, people that just complain just to be, legit. We're way past that at this point with what we're doing. This is 2025, so it'll be exciting what will happen next 10 years.
And so let me ask you this, because I know you mentioned liking and appreciating what the type of work that Tedesco brothers are doing. Are you open to like linking up with some of these researchers out there, some of these other grassroots researchers, and maybe sharing data or forming a team or anything like that?
I'm always open to sharing research, sharing videos and whatnot. That's one of the problems going on is everybody has their stuff siloed off, and a lot of people will hide behind NDAs. Like they're doing a lot of what they're doing on Skinwalker Ranch, for example, is science orientated, but they don't release their stuff because it's NDA. So I don't think they're like whatever Avi Loeb is doing. He failed. He has no video at all. And the group I'm working with has at least collection of one a month. So he doesn't have anything to trade. Tedesco Brothers got a gold mine. UAPX is dead. That's a carcass of a UFO organization. If you look at their website, their forum, which they don't even look at, is full of sextile spam. They don't even use their own site. So there's really not a lot. There's too many podcasts. There's not a lot of scientists. But we should share some of the data, like I could do with videos and what the Tedesco brothers do with videos, so we can see, do they get the same objects that we get over here at Arizona or that we get in the West Coast or people getting in Texas? And the answer is yes, and the answer is no. We don't get spheres within a cube in Arizona. None. But they get them on the East Coast. You don't see any videos of that in the West Coast. But there are common objects that we see. The tic-tac, the discs, the balls of energy, the orbs, stuff like that. That's a common UFO that goes around these groups. But then again, Skinwalker Ranch, there've been 6 seasons on television, almost 700 hours of programming, and maybe 4 or 5 UAPs to account for all that.
See, I think, and I didn't know that I didn't realize that we really needed this structure until recently. I've been going on this tangent where I've been talking about what's the standard of evidence, and I was looking around all the different communities, the paranormal, the cryptid community, UFO community, and this came to light for me because I saw something recently the Skywatcher was doing. I really appreciated the fact as far as the category system that they were putting together, as far as the shapes, the most common shapes, and then also taking those sightings through an extensive vetting process before you would even validate that this is, something anomalous. So there ends up being no question at the end of the day on what it is we're looking at. I think that their system, and I think I can bring this up here, the system of shapes here, it just makes sense, right? Because these are a lot of the common ones we see, and it would make sense, especially as you said, to know what's going on the West Coast versus the East Coast versus anywhere else in the world by having the shape system and then just making the shapes the standard. Like everyone starts with this little map, and then we fill in the data points and kind of build off of that. I think this should be something everyone should be using. I don't know how you feel about it, but what do you say to this?
I got different feelings about the Skywatcher group themselves, but this chart is a good start. Some of the stuff on there I see, like I talked about, that I agree with. Some of the stuff I don't think they have classified right at all. Okay. I'll give you an example. Let's break it down in reverse. The egg. The egg is definitely a real UFO shape. It's different than a disc. It's different than the triangle. It's different than the orb. Bright star above that, class 6. That's would be from my end what Chris Donald filmed. Ball of energy, an orb. We now have the size of it. We now have close-up 4K video of that. And blob could be the same thing. Tic Tac, blob, over in the top. Everybody's seen that. That's universal. I have calculations that those things are flying over Phoenix area every day. The bright star, the blob, I'm not sure about that one, or the manta ray. The manta ray, from what I saw on their videos, looks like sky trash. The tetra, same thing, sky trash. Beam, I'm not sure. The jellyfish stuff that they put out was clearly balloons, and the hornet was balloons attached to balloons. When these guys came out, I was kind of excited. Cool, we have more help, which is what we need. But then it became clear that these guys don't know what they're doing, even though they got a lot of money.
Yeah, okay, interesting. And maybe, yeah, and that makes sense. Okay, maybe right off the bat, this needs some refining, but you have said that this is the right path to go down as far as generalizing shapes, because I think really how that helps as well is it kind of allows you to separate what a lot of people try to explain off as government tech versus something that isn't made by human beings, because anything that's weird up there, you'll have a skeptic want to categorize that as something maybe we built. And I did a show one time where I just talked about the design language of black projects, and just historically they always have these angular craft, even triangle. I go as far as to say that something that we might see as a triangle could potentially be something that's listed as or something that might have been made by the government. But then when you get into all these other shapes like the Tic Tacs, the eggs, I just don't see a world where the government has built anything like that. What do you think about the whole reverse engineering part of this, and what do you think the percentage of things you see when you're looking up in the sky are potentially government things? Have you ever looked at that and said, yeah, that might be government, or no?
No, I've never seen anything weird that I thought was government. Everything that I see usually falls into that's man-made, such as drone. Like last night with the fireworks, I was broadcasting live, and an object came flying around, and I saw it on a camera I have that can watch 20 miles of the city. Then another camera I had zoomed in, and we can see it's a drone. Stuff usually falls in it's UAP, but way before that, most of it's trash in the air, or it's man-made. It's a balloon or something like that. The stuff that I'm seeing is in recording. There's no way the government's doing that. The stuff our group's seeing, they're not flying orbs in some guy's backyard by an airport in North Phoenix. There's no point in that. They don't have balls of energy that they're flying around. If they had this stuff, why are we wasting so much money on oil and gas warfare that we're financing? Spending $1 trillion a year in the military, and they're using oil and gas weapon systems when this other stuff's right out of Star Trek.
And it never has made sense. I mean, the obvious thing is going to be, well, they'll lose money if the economy will shift if they bring this out. They can't. And that's the main argument for it, which is understandable. But then at the same time, okay, if that's the case, if they did for some reason create this or reverse engineer this, to me, it would be considered a crime against humanity. Like anything that doesn't allow us to progress as human beings is anti-humanity and a crime against humanity. So they better hope that they don't have that reverse engineered back there, because the moment that gets out, we're going to have a problem. And we're already having a problem, because you look at what the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, came out and said during the whole drone thing, and trying to explain it off as, the FAA knew these vehicles were up there. They were conducting some sort of research. Okay, how did you feel about that statement? Let's just start there. What were you saying when you read that off?
That goes back to, they will never admit we don't know what it is and we don't have control of the sky.
Yeah.
They're not going to come out and say that. That's the short answer. They don't know what this stuff is. I mean, exactly. What are they going to do? Say, hey, these are Chinese drones coming out of the ocean, and they have transmedium craft. and we don't know about it. We don't care. And at the same time, what do people expect? For the military to start shooting these down, and then cities become a war zone, because all that gunfire or whatever they're going to use to take these things down comes down on people's houses. If they shoot 50 caliber or whatever to take one of these down, where's that bullets go? So I just think this is just getting out of control. They had total control of the narrative when we just had 5 television channels for most of past years. But now we have 1,000 channels. We have podcasts. They can't control the narrative like they used to. So the cat can get out of the bag, so to speak. So I think what they're doing by controlling the narrative is you just see who's booked at Contact in the Desert, see who's booked on all these big shows. It's all counterintelligence people. They're all either ex-CIA, ex-FBI, ex-Air Force, ex-Cointel. I mean, look at Jake's group. They're all military. These people control the narrative. I don't. They do. They're new kids on the block. They don't have any good footage. All the stuff they release is compilations. Just here's a couple of seconds of stuff. They said they've been skywatching for 5 years, and they don't have anything good to show for it. Our group collectively outdoes them in a couple of months with what we're finding around Arizona. So the whole top down is controlled now by ex-military people with trust me, bro.
And that's always so tough because, they're going to carry that stigma because they are ex-military. And then you just can't, it's always going to be something that's in the back of your mind. So I can understand where that perspective comes from. What I try to do is just as you said, okay, I like the list, the chart that Skywatcher put together, but I'm not really behind Skywatcher per se. And I think that's a fair way to handle it, because I always say that you can look at the nuggets, grab the nuggets that the silver lining pieces of the conversation, and not really worry about the rest. So maybe they're set up by the government. However, this chart is brilliant, or just categorizing it in a way that makes it uniform to everyone across the board, like in humanity, because I think that's where we have to have some sort of structure as humanity in order to actually move this across the line ourselves. Because right now it's we know for a fact almost there's Tic Tacs. If you were to ask anybody, they would say also maybe disc-shaped craft, and there's a particular couple that people will always point to, but there's other ones too. And it's just to have a good idea of what the shapes are and then where they might be located. And I think you might be on something. Maybe you can redo this list. But we have about 30 seconds before we take our top of the hour break. Did you want to add anything to that, Tom?
No, you pretty much hit the nail on the head here with how me and a lot of the people I work with think about the Skywatcher group. Welcome to the club, but you got to prove yourself.
Yeah, fair enough. And with that being said, I just, hopefully we'll be able to look at some of Tom's work here tonight and get an idea for how frequent the objects that he's seeing. I know if you saw last time, and I'm going to show you some equipment as well, some that he has bolted onto his house. Tom is serious, real deal about this, and it's just having someone like that in our corner is a win. But as I said, for other parts of phenomena, we have to raise our standards and create a standard of what evidence is and go forward. And we'll be doing that and a lot more as we come back from the break, guys. Make sure you don't go anywhere, right here on the After Hours Radio Show.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, we're off camera for 5 minutes. Tom, see you in a minute. Shout out to Anonymous Tibby Senor. See you back here in just a minute. All right, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. You join back here with our guest here in just a moment, Tom F. King. Getting into some Skywatch stuff, having a great conversation, guys. Make sure that you get any question that you're going to have for Tom ready this hour. Put them all in caps. We will definitely be asking them at the end of this hour. We'll be getting in some really good stuff as well, so don't go anywhere. Also, hour 3, Drew Banky will be joining us with Steve, along with Steve Stockton, Chelsea Told, Mr. Herds of Mysteries, UFO and Weird News. Let's get back into the show right now. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show, after hour number 2, with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We are joined back with our guest here, Tom King, Skywatcher, the man who filmed the Phoenix Lights. The man is going to help move this thing forward as he's doing every single day by capturing data. We're going to look at some of that equipment and more this hour on the After Hours Radio Show as we get right back into the conversation. And going, let's see here, Tom, because I know last time we talked, I had some of these photos, and I'm going to bring them back up here. This is some of what, and maybe you have additional things set up now, but let me bring these things up. Let me remove this here. And I think this is it. So, talking to some of this stuff, Tom, that you have up here, I'll kind of just go one by one. You could just tell everybody what it is we're looking at and show them that you're serious. You're not just up here talking about skywatching. You're doing it daily, 24/7 hours, or 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, what I have currently, the picture seems a little bit ancient now. I have my house heavily modified. I have 13 color 4K cameras that are surrounding the house, pointing up, north, south, east, west, and up. I have an all-sky camera in that picture, which is a 4K camera. It records the entire sky. Next to that is a dome camera, UFO that was replaced with a different unit that's more modern, and in its spot where that dome camera went a more powerful dome camera. That's a 45 power optical zoom, so it's almost like a P900 on a pan and tilt. So I have 3 pan and tilts running, 6 thermal devices and 6 night vision devices. About 3 of the night visions run at all times. This stuff gets captured into 4 different NVRs. So I kind of have my own Gorgon stare, if you will, from Chandler, where I can go through the National UFO Reporting Center, and if they have anything for the past 30 days, I can go through my NVR and see, did I capture it anywhere over Chandler and Gilbert? The recent most update I've been working on for the past 3 months, which I just completed, was a pneumatic radar system. So I bought a military style mast that weighs over 400 pounds. I had it delivered from the Reno, Nevada area down to Phoenix. And then from there, I poured something like 6 tons of concrete to make a base and ripped apart half a panel from my house and tied the thing into the wall so it wouldn't fall over. So if this radar falls over, takes this house with it. And on that pole, which goes up and down, which is air powered, is a 4K camera. It is up a little bit higher than the palm trees. And on top of that is radar. And the radar is operational, but it's turned off until I get through the red tape with the FCC so I can legally use that. So then I will be recording radar, all this thermal cameras, all this stuff with UFO DAP, 3 different cosmic watches, a digital Geiger counter, RF, and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's so much equipment that I kind of have to focus on different pieces of gear, keep it running. And when I want to, and I really, really focus, I can pull UFOs out of the sky with this collection system once a month because they're up there.
Now, when you mean pull them out, do you mean just capture the data or calling them in, like, because, you know, people have been using the term psionics and things like that lately.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
No, I would. Let me be real clear here. I don't condone the people who summon them. I went to Prophet Yahweh's house 25 years ago. One of the first people out there who said he could summon them, and all these people have some various degrees of mental illness that think that they're having conversations in the brain with magic people flying around in UFOs. That's not happening at all. What I mean about pulling them out of the sky is there are UFOs that are being collected by my system all the time. But I'm not here to watch it all because it's physically impossible to watch 13, 14 HD cameras, 3 different domes, all this radar data, because you got a life, you got a job, you got to work. So automatically, some of the stuff is hooked up to UFODAP, and UFODAP will watch for it. And recently I figured out how I can take some of these other cameras that aren't connected to UFODAP, save that data, and then have UFODAP run it through an array of different computer systems. So I'll have some computers that used to mine Bitcoin that now are mining UFOs through the sky by looking through these tapes, trying to find, did that disc fly by? I filmed an orange disc earlier in 2025. Never filmed one of those before. Then about less than 30 days ago, I filmed it again. And I just happened to be watching, UFODAP didn't get it. UFODAP, by the way, is an electronic capture system that watches the sky for you and then records. I just happened to be watching the live feed. Then I kind of got, adrenaline rush going, how many times is this thing flying by that I don't know about because I'm sleeping or eating or whatever, right? So I did some calculations with ChatGPT that if I had all my cameras and they were all being watched by 13 people at all times, I would collect that disc flying over 4.5 times per week. That's how much stuff is flying over the heads here in the Phoenix area, but you need the personnel and the equipment to even pull it out of the sky.
I totally agree. That doesn't sound that far off. I mean, I often wonder, okay, since I've had my sighting, I'm not outside as much looking for things because I've been validated, and I just wonder, okay, if I take myself outside more often, how many other things am I missing out there? And that sounds about right. It's about what I figured. But are you able to show anything that you have captured recently, or any of the data that you wanted to share with the audience here?
Of course, Rob. And
you have the floor. You can. All
right, I'm going to bring up. You're going to have to probably okay this. I'm kind of familiar with StreamYard, so this won't be too difficult. So what I'm going to pull up is going to be, there's going to be a quick clip of the first orange object that just flew by the camera, and then it's going to be an enhancement of the object that's rotating counterclockwise 3 times in the clip. So,
all right, let me move this all out the way here.
And you might have to rewind that. I'm not sure who controls that. Okay, I guess I got it on my side. So this thing, this orange looking, it flew by. I'm getting quite a few pixels off whatever this is. This isn't, we're not looking at little couple of specks here. This is a close-up of whatever that orange thing is.
Wow.
And it's rotating counterclockwise, and there's like teeth or gears or something weird sticking out. Some of the AI stuff that I blew up looks like flames coming out of it. And as far as AI goes, we need to start telling people what AI and how we're using it, so we can standardize that as much as we can in the UFO community. So that's this orange disc. Okay. So from there, I want to bring up the second time I got that. And that should be, I think, this clip coming up here. So, or is this, no, this is the Tic Tac. This is a Tic Tac shaped object that flew by, similar to what you see from Skywatcher. But the difference is I give you the entire clip and I tell you the date of when this stuff was shot. And this stuff is all this year, months ago. So
how far out are these objects, would you say?
No closer than a quarter of a mile and no farther than 3 miles. So I'm going to bring up another clip after this. Let's see, this I think is one called Process. This might be the next one here. Okay, so this is the second time. This was in June when what I call the UFO pumpkin thing flies by. So that's tracing the flight path of that orange thing that flew by. And what we're looking at here is now this is all the cameras that flew by. These are thermal cameras. I have 3 of them, and it films in color. They're dual optic, color and thermal. Flew by every single one of these cameras, but didn't pick up. So that's a close-up of whatever that thing was, which matches the one from January. It's disc-shaped. It is not like it's not like the other stuff. Now let me look at some Tic Tac stuff. I'm gonna bring up a Tic Tac video here, which is going to be kind of a compilation of various different captures. A second. I think I gotta close some videos down. All right.
And as you set this up, where can everybody go and see these videos, just so they know?
I have a YouTube channel called 4K Skywatching. You might have to put 4K Skywatching Tom King. It'll come up, and all the stuff is available on there. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a 4K blow up of what these Tic Tac looking objects are that fly by at the speed of a missile. So it's faster than 60 frames a second. It changes from a triangle to a Tic Tac to a triangle to a Tic Tac.
Oh wow!
So this is something that if you start looking at this frame by frame and freezing it, sometimes it's a Tic Tac like you see there. Sometimes it's elongated. Sometimes it's a triangle. So it's shifting so fast that it's undulating.
Yes, definitely.
So we're looking at what's going on here, Rob. This is the same clip, but it's being run through different AIs. This is an AI model called Proteus. And I slowed it down so we can look at when one of these flies by, think of Go Fast. What does Go Fast look like close up? This is what it looks like. So as I was talking about standardizing AI, what people need to do is say, what AI? So this is using Topaz AI, which I have a license copy to use, and I'm using the RIA engine here on the same clip. And as this rolls through a couple of more AI engines, you'll see different ones bring out a little bit more detail than some of the other AI engines. So then what you do is you go back to the clip where it turned out the best, and you start tweaking that AI model even more to bring out more details, or maybe even blow it, maybe even blow this up into 8K. And while this clip's about finished, I'm going to show you a comparison of different years that this is going on.
Okay.
There's an object flying, and here's 2025. That UFODAP capture got that same thing like 8 years later, but now we have technology in 2025 that we didn't have back then. So this is what the 2018 object looks like. Same thing.
Morphine,
yeah, same thing like you're seeing in 2025. So now that I have enough data collection, here's another one that it's going to come from the left side of the screen. This one I tracked with the pan and tilt. It's going to shoot to the right. It's kind of hard to see, but what's going to happen is after this plays here and stops, it's going to play again, but it's going to be enhanced so you can see that what flies by is at the speed of a missile. But these aren't grocery bags moving by the camera. These aren't balloons. These are high-speed objects that are moving past the camera. And I've gotten many, many times over the years. Here's the same clip, and you should be able to see it better. So there it shoots by. And I saw that, and I go, hey, what the heck was that? And I grab the controls, and I start panning with that white thing cruising. And back then, I didn't have the image processing abilities that I have in 2025. So what I learned in 2025, I went back to some of these older videos, and now we can take a better look at them. So this typically involves taking out camera movement,
okay,
stabilizing the object. It's got about 30 seconds left.
I saw it. It was to the right of the screen. Yeah, right there, right?
Yeah. Now here's an enhancement of it. And it's the
Okay.
same thing we're seeing in other clips. So it's morphing from triangle to orb and back, just like we're seeing in 2025. So when you think, what is the tic tac? Or tic tac's different than this? What is the go fast? That is the go fast. So we can flip that off.
All right.
That's a couple of clips I had ready for you guys. So the go fast object, that's an enhancement. If we could optically have better imagery, that's what we'd see. We'd see something that's undulating really fast. It's transforming from a triangle to tic tac to disc. So then you go, where does it fit in that chart that Rob had up? It's not a light. It's not an orb. It's something. There's probably nobody inside it, but it's cruising around. It's global, and nobody knows what those are.
That is exactly how I felt about my objects, and you've seen my sighting before. I want to work with you on that here in the future, because I know there have to be regionally other examples, because I was doing the same thing you were doing as far as trying to find out if certain shapes were specific to certain regions of the country or the planet. If these tic tac craft just seem to like to be in the Pacific or vice versa. So I want to kind of run minds by you, because you have so many different examples of things that are up there, and there isn't anyone that can point to what we just saw at all and say that was anything explainable. There just is no way. So what this says is you have all these different technically UFOs that you've captured on camera, and just showing once again that all you need to do is look up with a really good camera, but at least look up, and you're going to have a chance to kind of capture some of this stuff. One thing that I think is pretty cool to do, Tom, maybe you have information on this, but for the average person, what would be something like a cool little starter kit or something that they could put together to kind of start doing this if they want to?
Great question. What I would start using is whatever you have right now, and not something that you have to get off Amazon and buy. Even if it's your cell phone. What I would get is a cell phone holder or whatever you can do. Put it outside. And I always tell people, point up at about a 65, 75 degree angle, not straight up, and let it record for 2 to 3 hours. Now, you say, okay, I got to watch 2 to 3 hours. Well, if you want, but if you have UFODAP software, you can then open this file that you recorded and run it through UFODAP, and it goes through about 60 frames a second, so about twice real time, and that'll tell you if there's anything there. That'll start pulling out airplanes. They'll start pulling out balloons and bags and whatnot, and start making folders. And AI will look through that and say, is this a bird or is it a balloon? It's not perfect, but that's great. So you start doing what we call blind sky watching, because you're not watching what's going on. Mm-hmm. After about 7 of these, right? 2 hours apiece, about 14 hours, you're going to have what I just showed you flying by, something flying by real fast. And and the people watching, they're already in the UFO, world. You're going to fall deeper in once you start collecting your own sightings. So that's something you could start with. The software is about $95, but you can use it with USB cameras. You can use it with a whole array of stuff, and then later, if you have more money, upgrade. We just need a lot more people actually out collecting this data, instead of waiting for me to do it, or for the Tedesco brothers, or for some eccentric people with FU money going out and doing all this. Yeah. We need help.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because everyone has, or most people have, an extra phone laying around, an old phone that you can dedicate to something like this, and that gets you started. Just needs to be a holder or something you could prop up at an angle where it is now looking up at the sky, get a good micro SD card, and go ahead and just hit that record button, start recording. As Tom says, 7 times at 2 hours apiece, 14 hours, you're very likely to have captured something. And it's as simple as that. And I would even challenge skeptics to do that, because I think, where's the data, where's the proof? I think that's where you kind of can get to those answers. And maybe you as a skeptic out there would end up coming across something you can't explain and kind of take you down this rabbit hole as well. And that's why it's going to be important to kind of standardize the way that we collect evidence and the way that we categorize it. So maybe we take the Skywatcher map, we do some alterations to it, and then we set a standard for the shapes that we have commonly seen up there. And then we can start figuring out where they show up. Do they only show up on the West Coast? Are they also over here? And that way, as far as citizens go, we have a structured way to gather our evidence, kind of process our evidence, and then come to the conclusions, right? As Tom is saying, we literally could have 1,000 more Skywatchers out there tomorrow capturing data if you just take your phone and do it. So hopefully this motivates some people out there to, if you've been thinking about where you can fit into the conversation or what you can do on your own to kind of help out where we're going with this, that's big right there. If you happen to capture UFO data and you're able to submit that, and it goes out to the people who have been, like Mateo, for instance, one of our good friends, he's never had a UFO sighting in his life ever. And for a person like that, if you can go out there, point your camera up for 2 hours a day, 7 times, and then finally capture something, I think that's big too. So hopefully that gets everyone motivated to get out there and start doing this, and then submitting their awesome data. So good stuff there, Tom. Did you have, when you looked at the Tedesco brothers, had you seen anything interesting that they have released? Because as far as I can tell, they have not released any of the drone data yet, or have they? Do you know anything different on that?
That depends. I believe they have a website. I don't know if they put their stuff on there. They really need to have their own YouTube channel and let people come to them so they can look at stuff. And they're just like everybody. Everybody who starts this, no matter if you got a college degree or if you got a helicopter pilot's license, you start at the bottom. You start at year 1 Skywatcher. I came up with my own chart of this. Year 1, you're going to do rookie mistakes. You're going to confuse balloons and grocery bags for the objects I just showed you flying by real quick, because you're not going to have the experience to separate the wheat from the chaff. By year 2 or so, you should be able to pretty much figure out what a balloon or grocery bag is. By year 3, you probably have bought another piece of equipment to help you out. By year 5, you probably, if you're still doing this, recorded something that has went in the hands of somebody like Rob or Ross Coulthard, or you got a hold of more experienced UFO people in the community to figure this out. By year 10, you're in the Melinda Leslie field. You're a seasoned veteran, and that comes only from experience. By the year 30, where I'm at, I get burned out and came back. I am in my prime right now. You start inventing your own stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, everyone starts at the bottom. Skywatcher and his group, they think they're at the top because they have, trust me, bro, stories to get, to come out in the media, but they're starting at the bottom. Remember when Ross Coulthard, or remember when Lou held up that photo of the irrigation stuff and it got debunked immediately about 5 weeks ago? Then 2 weeks later, Skywatcher comes out and posts a bunch of videos of birds and stuff and got laughed at. And I thought, well, this is what they're here for. They're here to delegitimize what I'm doing, what Melinda's doing, what other people are doing, because it's narrative control. They're controlling the narrative because they have all the clout. And people like me will say, well, look at these people. They're crazy because they don't know birds. They put balloon videos out. We can't afford in the UFO field to make mistakes like this. And they're making those.
That is a true statement there by none other than Tom King, guys. We're going to go ahead and take this final break of the interview. We're going to actually get to your questions right after the break. So please make sure you put them in caps as we come right back here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. See you back here in just a minute.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah, we're clear. Yep.
The Tedesco brothers, a lot of the good stuff that I've seen from them was when they went on various podcasts and talked about stuff they have. They released a video of the cube within the sphere that was shot at night by a police officer, and it looks like it's about 3 to 4 blocks away, and it's hovering in the sky at night, and it's just this weird black cube. It's doing weird, abnormal stuff, and you immediately, with a lot of good UFO stuff, you look at it immediately, oh, that don't belong. That was one. They also have the 2020 orbs coming out of the mountain or out of the water. I was on a phone call with one of the Tedesco brothers with Dave Altman. While I was on the phone with them, they filmed an orb in the rain, and they shot radar on it, and it did some weird returns. Another video I've seen, they showed actual radar imagery of a UFO. Now, when you're looking at Doppler radar like I am or they am, that almost takes an expert right there to figure out how that works, right? Okay, right. So there's that. They have a lot of stuff over the ocean. So these guys are really on the forefront of what they're doing. A lot of the stuff I don't even understand what they're talking about because they're electrical engineers, and I'm a software guy. I'm a coder, so I don't get the whole electricity.
The one thing
ask about on the show, they'll show you.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they were during those interviews you're talking about, they were really hinting that they had captured some really amazing stuff as far as these drones go. Maybe them morphing into other things, and I was just hoping that they came out with more of that. And maybe they have, because like you said, maybe they have on their own little corner of the internet. They've released some of that stuff. So I need to go look and see. But I'm sure.
The water stuff, the stuff that's coming out of the water, if I remember right, looks like, oh, look, there's just a solid red light. You can't see it in RGB, but you can pick it up on thermal. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 it starts doing the green and red light. Like, nope, not orb, drone now. So they got some of that type of stuff. We're probably going to see a lot more of that stuff. And I kind of hope not, because if they can mimic a DJI drone, they can mimic a plane, they can mimic a helicopter. That's going to make people schizophrenic.
As it should, though. And that's my whole thing is like, dude, you should know, and then be able to make an educated guess for yourself as far as a choice, saying, okay, we're sharing the skies with things that are up there that have been known to shut the electricity off on planes and things of that nature. Do I want to board a plane and take a risk up there? Everyone should have the right to determine if they want to do that or not, and not find out, as I always talk about, at 35,000 feet that this thing is real. And here we are in this moment where, maybe this plane goes down, and you don't even get me going there, because I think potentially, and I'm just going to say this, that maybe historically UFOs, because they've been shown to be able to affect planes, maybe have been behind some things that have fell out the sky. And I'll just say that without having to say more. But the whole mimicking thing as well, I've talked about that biomimicry. If they come into our skies, why wouldn't they want to mimic the things in our sky if they were trying to not be noticed? It only makes sense, right? So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Tom. We got about a minute.
I do. It was shocking when you mentioned about them, they could bring down planes. I got a video sent to me that was shot over Tempe Lake here in Arizona on June 2nd in the daytime. It was right where an American airplane was coming in for a landing. It was 3/4 of a mile away from touching the wheels down. Doesn't have the power to really get out of this. And there's a sphere in the sky in the daytime next to it. So it is an airline safety issue. And I agree, we could have had plane crashes they won't admit to.
And it's always, and the other thing is, like, as you talk about, there's more often than not, and I think Robert Shipe has taken images of this too, where you find these things always near our aircraft for whatever reason. And it's like, okay, if that interaction happens, is it proximity that makes this happen, or is it the intent of whoever's operating this anomalous thing to say, hey, let me, as they turned off the nukes in the nuclear facilities, hey, let me play with this plane and turn off this electronic, like, are they consciously doing this, or is it a proximity thing? But even if that's the case, proximity is an issue because we seem to always find them by our planes. So either way it goes, it's a scary thought, but people should know. And that's the whole thing. You should know, and you should have, instead of thinking about money and the money that everyone would lose if people stop flying, think about the safety aspect of this, and let a person choose if they still want to go on a plane or not. That's just what it should be. And hopefully we get to that point here. We got about 10 seconds before we come back from break. Guys, get those questions ready. I see a few of them here. And I'll be looking out for others. We got 5 seconds. Here we go. Okay. Couldn't get through with one crash. We got one crash. We'll be right back. Hold on 1 second here.
Happens.
Yeah. Live stuff here. All right. And here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Space Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We are in the back half of hour number 2 with our fantastic guest, UFO researcher, Skywatcher, legend in the field, Tom King, Tom F. King. If you don't know him, look him up. He was behind the Phoenix Lights. He was there. He recorded video. If you missed any of this conversation, make sure you jump in the archives, youtube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. We'll be going ahead and jumping into some of these questions right here that we have. And let me just pull the first one up. The Jaquetta was asking earlier tonight, how can we tell the difference between true photos and videos and AI nowadays? Great question. What would you say to that?
Well, you probably can't. You're not going to be able to tell that for sure if you don't do stuff like I'm doing, just looking at thousands of these videos a year. Like the video that got sent about that Lake Tempe. I didn't post it because I can't vet that. And unless I don't just dump garbage that people send me from my email box on the internet. We have some responsibility of vetting this footage and not just saying, here, look at this for likes, right? So interesting footage, but if you don't get back to me and I can't put a face behind your name, your footage isn't any good. But as far as the question, how can we tell a good AI from that? Well, there's credibility factor here. And let me try and answer this with the best I can. If it's anonymous, forget it, right? If the person isn't willing to put their name behind it, the footage is worthless because it's more anonymous crap. We don't need that. That could be done through AI. But if they come out with their face, their real name, and not hiding behind a silhouette, and they put out the original audio so you can hear everything, then I have a chart of 5 points max. You get numbers for each one of these credibility factors. With AI, there is no person, there is no driver's license, there is no original sound because it's fake. So if you can't get those 2 points out of 5, forget it. And what are the other 3 points? Multiple witnesses, sensor data, thermal. And the only ones I've ever seen score 5 were the Tic Tac and the gimbal videos. So does that make some sense? Don't accept just random stuff if somebody got a video unless you can vet that video.
And, I think truthfully, a lot of people are rightfully afraid of that in the whole process you're going to have to go through to determine what is real and what isn't. But I think at the end of the day, I think that there's going to be something that is always going to be able to determine it. Now, we'll probably have to run the photo through something in order to figure it out. But I think even right now we have programs that will run images that have been created by AI and will tell you if it's 99% AI. So I think we'll have those tools going forward. There's got to be details within the image or video that will always show that it's AI, I think. So I think we are rightfully concerned about it, but I think as we go down that line, that it won't be a big a deal, because the implications of not knowing if something is real or not through AI could be just bananas and something that we can't even deal with. So I think we will set it up to where we'll know what it is, and we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But next question comes from Sasha, who is asking, what do the aliens want with us, in your opinion, Tom King, if you ever thought about that?
I don't know what they want. I know that they are, and past are UFOs real or aliens real. There's multiple intelligence dealing with what's going on here. I don't know what they want. I don't even know what they want with me and the experiences I had when they stole me out of where I was sleeping a couple of times. I question, I only know from my personal self, do we even have free will, or are we on a predetermined destination that they've planned? And we're chess pieces, they're moving around, where it's a little bit of both. Now, if you wanted to, you can do anything you want tonight, but you were set in that chair tonight to do it anyway. So it was going to be the same type of outcome. For instance, if Jim Cameron didn't come up with the movie The Terminator, somebody else would have. It was going to happen anyway. The humanoid robots and the nightmare that's going to unfold with all that was going to happen no matter if Jim Cameron did or not. So I don't know. I don't know if they're editing a timeline or what. That's the $1 million question here. Wish you know. What do you think, Rob?
Oh man, I think that could have something to do with it, because you always wonder how you were led into these positions. And as you were saying that, I'm like, yeah, the reason why you were picked is to do exactly what you're doing, to kind of maybe help uncover what's going on for the sake of humanity. That's kind of where I lean towards that. And the reason why I've been put in the position I'm in to host the show, I never wanted to host the show. It wasn't the thing I looked out to do, but I was led into doing it. And then the fact that it's so important to humanity for this to happen, and then for the work that you're doing, I could definitely lean into we are being orchestrated or guided into be in these positions for specific reasons. It only makes sense. Now, who is doing that? Is it the extraterrestrials, or is it even some other power that's doing this? Some people may say God, or whatever it is definitely something I feel like that's guiding us into these spots to do this work. So let me see here. Next question comes from Super Crazy Movie Geek, who had asked earlier tonight, Tom, do you think Bigfoot and other cryptids are connected to the UFO phenomenon? A lot of people feel like they are.
To a degree, yeah. This whole thing operates under this weird secrecy that if you show up with the camera, you're likely not to mess with whatever this is. The Bigfoot phenomenon and other cryptids and other weird things out there seem to be scared to be put on the official record, so to speak, to be outed. They seem to operate both phenomenons in absolute secrecy. Like if they were to operate, out in the open, it won't work for them. So whatever's going on, we have to be, they're observing us, and we're just kind of like getting little glimpses in there.
Man, I'm at a point where I definitely agree. I do feel like the Bigfoot and other cryptids are connected to the UFO phenomena, just the phenomena in general. I just think what it is we just don't have a great understanding about the world we live in. And if once we reshift that focus, then it's not necessarily a phenomena. I think the phenomena is that we don't see the world as clearly as we're supposed to be seeing it. I think that's the phenomena. And then maybe what else is going on is just the normal thing. I sit around, I was watching an alligator show the other day, and it's so strange to look at, and we understand what it is. A dinosaur has been here many years, but then to think about the first time that we saw that and how foreign it looks, and I think that's what is going to happen with extraterrestrials and cryptids. We're going to be like, wow, weird for a minute, and then it's just going to be just like anything else that we deal with that isn't, human looking on this planet. I think it will normalize it at some point here. Let Let me see. Great question. And we have some more. Let me make sure I tag this one for Jose. Okay, we got Jose Sanchez. In filming UFOs, have you ever had the peculiar feeling that the UFO actually senses that you are aware of it and behaves accordingly, as in cause and effect? I had a UFO literally scramble to hide.
Both things happened, Jose. One instance, I had an object sky under surveillance one day, and I looked at something floating with the clouds really slow. And I took my sweet time zooming in on this particular object because I figured it was just a grocery bag and it's moving slow with the clouds, not doing anything remarkable. So eventually I get a zoom in on this thing and I lock in on it and I get to focus, get this thing in focus. It's a white disc. And then as soon as I did, the thing took evasive action and it's like, oh, shit, Tom got us. And it's not moving with the wind. As soon as I got that thing, did for like 10, 15 minutes until I got that lock on it. And as soon as I did, it changed direction, shifted down, looked like a white disc. I'm like, oh, great. I got one. This thing's a imitator. It took off and it ditched me. Other times when I've filmed them, you just get the sense it's letting me do this. It's doiling out a sighting, but not a lot. You know, it's like rationing out the sighting a little bit. Like I'll let you see a little bit of this. And then one time I filmed something. I got a feeling that my kid was up in the craft. For some weird reason, I thought, hey, let's go see what Dad's doing. Like I had a girl that got pregnant who got unpregnant, and long story short, I think they took the kid, right? That was back in the 90s when they did that a lot. So I got the feeling somewhere out there's like some human kid they took from me, and maybe he's up in one of these ships flying around, and they want to go see what crazy Dad's doing over in Chandler with this money that he's not going to leave for his kids. He's spending on skywatching gear. So a little bit of both, evasive action, and you just get a feeling sometimes like, you know, like, why am I getting 100 sightings over captures over 30 years, persistence? And they're letting me do this to a degree. It's predetermined.
Yeah, and you know, I've had since the beginning of my own UFO sighting, I've always described what I captured as seeming like they were alive. I know Tim Senor has seen the film; he agreed with that. They just seem like they're lifelike. Then you have the is it Robert Digna, whoever came out with the Steve Greer Disclosure Project 2.0 and talked about meeting up with this craft on the side of the road by the military base. He got out, rubbed it, felt like a cat's tongue or shark skin, said it felt alive, it kind of purred. Then you have Nope, the movie Nope, where Peele depicts this craft as alive. Then we have the Corbell film of the UFO that looks almost the same. Do you think there's something to the alive or conscious part of these craft potentially as them being alive themselves or behaving like they're alive?
I have no evidence for this, but I agree that the UFO themselves is a conscious entity, and the things in it aren't exactly piloting them. They could be around for the ride, like it's a self-driving UFO in a way. I think if you were to shoot the UFO, it would be akin to shooting like an animal and putting it to death. It seems like we are almost on the cusp of sentient life with AI. So how do they not already have it? How are we going to invent something they don't already have?
Good point, Tom King. Good point. Sasha's asking you, how can you tell a hybrid from a human as far as, I guess, extraterrestrials go?
That's a good question. And to loop back a bit on Jamie Rodriguez, the CIA guy, I had a real weird vibes from this guy, and I saw him on a podcast recently, and he was talking about this hybrid thing and his experience. And there's something he said that just kind of hit me. He said, I'm doing right now exactly what they want me to do by being here talking to you. And I thought, well, crap. that's kind of what they did with me in the Phoenix. Is I was living in South Dakota, and they wanted me out of there. They wanted me in the Southwest. Why? I had no idea. But it's to do this right here. It's to do this podcast, to have this radar, to have these friends, to have this connection, and to be exactly where I am right now in my little corner of the UFO community. Now, as far as hybrids, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. I don't know if I want to even answer that question, because who's to say what our conscience was before I was born, before Rob's birthday coming up? Where was he before Rob existed? Where was I? Where was you? Yeah. Were we reincarnated? Do we have another existence from another life on this planet, or on their ships, on their planets? And now we come to this planet because maybe they don't have one where it's worth being born anymore. Maybe this one's a challenge. Maybe we're hybrids in conscience from past lives, not just in DNA, not just in container physical forms, but in basically as we move through the universe from life to life. That's kind of our hybrid. We're a little bit of everything.
I like that. I think there's definitely more to that story. I don't think it's just simple as they took us, they mated this with that. I think there's a bigger story to it, and I can't put my finger on it because I really believe we're probably from Mars, and how that ties into everything, I don't know at this point, but I think we'll end up finding that out down the line. Jose Sanchez has another question asking, what do you think about cigar motherships? Are they alien in origin or part of the USSF's United States Space Force arsenal, or both?
Well, if we can't re-engineer a disc, we're not going to move up to cigar. I mean, you don't start with a bus before you have a little Prius. And element-wise, the cigars are extremely, extremely rare shapes. We have little versions we're seeing of Tic Tacs, kind of like the miniaturized version of a cigar, which is just the same thing as a Tic Tac, but scaled way up. Now, the cigar type stuff was a lot bigger in the 80s and 90s. It was documented better before video came along on actual film. These type of things are in the UFO lexicon, but they're very seldomly recorded. Apparently, the U.S. government and the Russian government really, really, really want to take one of these down and add that to the inventory of crash retrievals. There's word that I've heard that the Russians have one, but they found it in the middle of Siberia. It crashed. They don't know what to do with it, so they probably put a building over that one. And the U.S. has tracked them on NORAD radar, but apparently they've never got their hands on one. So alien all the way with cigars. We just don't have anything that can fly around like that. And if we do, we have doors on the bottom to deliver some bombs, because that's our biggest export, bombs.
And we have this Oumuamua thing that they've captured. They said it's on its way, so we'll see whatever that is. Supposed to be cigar shaped. I'm interested. But text question was from Jose Sanchez saying, Tom, being familiar with the Phoenix Lights, could that have been the infamous TR-6 Telos experimental anti-gravity rigid airship that was reportedly being tested?
Absolutely not. We looked into that early on. Stealth blimp. The whole thing with not the TR-6 Telos, interesting concept. Well, like with the TR-3B, that all started. The origin of that all started back with, I think, a Popular Mechanics. So I remember when it came out brand new, man. I was in South Dakota at the time. This came out, and it was from a aviation writer saying, could UFOs be just black projects, right? And then people just considered it real. This just a real thing. Now, as far as the Telos thing, the actual CEO of that came out with an article and said, absolutely not. That's not our technology. The other thing is these boomerangs, as far as the Phoenix Lights thing, outdid anything a stealth blimp could do. The Telos thing has no propulsion system. So it's like you put it up in the air and helium takes it away. What flew down Arizona flew down basically I-17, if it's a north-south highway. It's been seen many times. It's been documented in Russia hovering for 10 minutes. They usually go in twos. A third reason it can't be a stealth blimp is because when the object was over Paulden, Arizona at 8:15, it shot over to Prescott at 8:16. So it went 32 miles in a minute, which is 1,600 miles an hour. And then it slowed down to 45 miles an hour, flew over Prescott, got to the end. The wings folded back, and then it shot towards Phoenix and then went back to 35 miles per hour. So just the timeline of that flight path, which is set in stone now, there's no way that it went from Paulden to Prescott in a minute. There's no balloon with helium that can do that.
Let me ask you this
real
quick before we go to the next question. Do you think the government has reverse engineered anti-gravity or discovered anti-gravity? Do you think that they've done that? Anti-gravity?
Yeah.
You think they have?
I've heard that a couple stories. Jason Sand says that Nellis footage is an alien ship. Another friend of mine retired military, doesn't want me to bring his name up, said that there were 2 Americans in the Nellis ship. It was anti-gravitics, and they were doing a radar lock-on test. The radar operators who filmed the craft did not have clearance to see a disc, so they said shut the whole thing down. But yeah, there's sources that I have that said they discovered this stuff back in the 40s and they kept it top secret. So we don't really know because it's all hidden behind 70-year-old retired military people with trust me, bro. And I'm sorry. I just say, look, dude, you're going to die in a few years, right? You don't have long to live. So are you going to go to your grave with your trust me, bro, that we can put on your tombstone? Or are you just going to come out and tell us what you know and risk getting arrested and being the first person to go to, let's say, Alligator Alcatraz because they ran their mouth about UFOs? So far, no one's been arrested yet. So somebody step up.
And Polly Rotterman joining us all the way from Israel asking, did you sense telepathy communication while having your sightings, any of your sightings?
Not I would say telepathy. Like I said before, you just get a weird feeling. You just get kind of a gut feeling, but you don't know. I mean, I don't hear voices in my head from anything. So I've never had telepathy with a sighting. Now, during alien abduction, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, that's all telepathy because they don't have lips to move. That's the guaranteed mind to mind, or you don't even know. You just kind of hear them. And my stuff was short and frightening. So I didn't get long. I didn't have a Travis Walton experience where you get to go, hey, where are you guys from? Can you show me a star chart or any of that stuff? It was terrifying.
Yeah, I still haven't had the face-to-face, the personal dealing yet either, but you'll know the moment that I do. That's a fact. Last question here is Super Crazy Movie Geek. Tom, do you think the non-human intelligence will intervene and announce their presence worldwide if humans start launching nuclear weapons, if we have about 1 minute left?
Nope. They didn't do it during World War II. They didn't intervene during 9/11, Pearl Harbor, or any of our world wars. We had probably wars before, back with the mines, what happened to them. They're just going to document it, watch, and go, God, these dumb people are ruining their planet and ours. They're documentarians almost more than interventionalists.
Great point. Documenting it sounds about right. These are people who say that they're going to step in and save the day can never explain why they sat back and allowed all these and still are allowing atrocious things to happen here to humanity. So makes more sense that they're just here to watch. We need to police ourselves anyway and figure out the best way to get out of this. It's the reason why we sit back and do these shows, so we can figure out the best way to progress positively as human beings, and maybe we'll save the day. Forget the extraterrestrials, maybe we will save the day. Tom, where can everybody find you as we got about 10 seconds left?
Apple TV, Observe and Report. Type in Aliens Uncovered. I made it on an Aliens show. Observe and Report, Apple TV, Tubi. And on YouTube, 4K Skywatching podcast. Friday nights live. Sometimes stuff happens.
You guys
go
check out
Cutting Edge Research. Thanks for having me.
Check out Tom King, please, and I will do the same. Tom, we'll talk soon. Appreciate you coming on. All right,
You're
take care.
listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, we are clear. Awesome stuff tonight, guys. We got to thank Tom King for coming by. We'll go to commercial. See you guys back after the break. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Space Out Radio After Hours radio show after hour number 3 as we come back from radio here in about 10 seconds. As long as we don't have any hiccups tonight, we should be coming back here in just a couple seconds. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Space Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We're in after hour number 3. Fantastic guest tonight, Tom King, good friend of mine. Just glad to have him come by and educate the audience. We could all be sky watchers. We could all be capturing data. We may talk more about that later on this hour as we have Drew Bakey stepping in soon here with the After Hours wrap up. First, we'll be jumping into some Steve Stockton Tales Untold Missing Person Mysteries, because you know that's how we do it. We love having Steve Stockton as part of the show here. So let's jump into it.
Welcome to Tales Untold and Missing Persons Mysteries on Spaced Out Radio's After Hours. My name is Steve Stockton, and I'm here to take you on a journey of mysteries, legends, and true stories. Come, join me on this strange adventure of Tales Untold and Missing Person Mysteries. Number 4, Andrew Gosden. The disappearance of 14-year-old Andrew Gosden is one of the UK's most baffling missing person cases. South Yorkshire police have worked tirelessly over the years to find Andrew, but there have been very few leads to work on. Those from the UK will have many strong memories on Andrew's disappearance and the media storm and investigation that followed. It's been over a decade since Andrew disappeared, and the South Yorkshire police are still no closer to cracking this mystifying case. Andrew Gosden lived in Balby, Doncaster, South Yorkshire, with his parents Kevin and Glynis. The two provided Andrew with a happy and stable home life, and as a result, he was flourishing academically. He was in the Young, Gifted, and Talented program at school and had a perfect attendance record. It was clear that Andrew was destined for great things academically, and he excelled in every subject at school. With this, Andrew's father, Kevin, said that he was not streetwise and preferred to stay home and play on his Xbox and listen to metal music. This behavior is not uncommon for teenagers, and his parents were happy that he was flourishing academically and did have a small social circle of friends, good, dependable ones. The lives of the Gosden family would be turned upside down one September afternoon, however, shortly after the new school year had started. Andrew had spent part of his summer holiday, which was 6 weeks, attending a Gifted and Talented program, and was apparently very happy and had a bright outlook for what lay ahead of him after he'd finished school. But September 14th, 2007 was different. Something inside Andrew had changed, and within the space of a few hours, his parents would be thrown into a missing person investigation that has spanned over a decade. On September 14th, 2007, Andrew got up and got ready for school as normal. He said goodbye to his parents and headed out the front door at around 8:05 a.m. By all accounts, this was just another day at school, and Andrew was seen heading toward the bus stop. However, instead of boarding the bus to school, Andrew kept walking and headed into the local park. Nobody knows why Andrew chose to skip school that day, but we do know that he waited in the park until around 8:30 a.m. By this time, his parents would have left for work, and Andrew knew that he would have the house to himself. This is just the beginning of the bizarre details surrounding the disappearance of Andrew Gosden, and things only become more mysterious from here. After waiting in the park, as we said, Andrew returned home, took off his school uniform, and put it straight into the washing machine. He changed into a Slipknot t-shirt, dark jeans, and packed his bag with his keys, wallet, and his PSP gaming system. Andrew didn't take his PSP charger with him, which indicated that he probably had every intention of coming back. But unfortunately, that is not what happened. As Glynis and Kevin went about their workday, they had no idea that their son was headed to Doncaster train station. Bank records confirmed that Andrew withdrew 200 pounds from his account, leaving about 14 pounds in the balance. Andrew walked into Doncaster train station, went up to the ticket office, and bought a one-way ticket to London. The woman who served Andrew recalled telling him that for just 50p extra, he could get a return ticket, but Andrew declined. He confidently stated that he wanted the one-way ticket, handed over the money, took the ticket, and made his way to the platform. No one knows why Andrew bought a ticket to London, nor why he only bought a one-way ticket. Was Andrew planning to meet with someone in London who had promised to take him back home, or did he plan to stay in London indefinitely? Witnesses reported seeing Andrew boarding the 9:35 a.m. train to London King's Cross Station, and by 11:25 a.m., he was captured on CCTV leaving King's Cross. This is the last confirmed sighting of Andrew, and over a decade later, we are still no closer to the truth. When Andrew's school noticed that he was absent that day, his parents were called. However, a clerical error was made and the wrong number was dialed. It wasn't until Glennis and Kevin arrived home from work to find Andrew's uniform in the house that they knew something was off. After calling out Andrew's name and searching all over the house, his parents realized that he was missing and dialed 999. South Yorkshire police responded to the call immediately, and the search for Andrew commenced. The area of Bobby was searched thoroughly, and investigators began combing through Andrew's life. At the time of his disappearance, Andrew didn't have a phone, as he was known to lose them, and preferred to spend time on his Xbox and listening to music anyway. Flyers, posters, and news reports were circulated around South Yorkshire and Yorkshire with the South Yorkshire police, hoping that somebody would come forward with information. As the days passed and there was no word, the Gosdens began to realize that the situation that they were in was incredibly serious. Then, days after Andrew disappeared, the South Yorkshire police got their first lead. The woman who sold Andrew the ticket at Doncaster train station came forward, and from here, the police were able to check CCTV and confirm that Andrew had traveled to King's Cross. Sadly, Andrew was not spotted on CCTV after he left King's Cross Station, and CCTV in the surrounding areas failed to show up anything. Now, there are three main theories in Andrew's case, with the first being that he was lured away by someone online. As we said, Andrew had an Xbox and a PSP, but forensic analysis of these and the data showed that Andrew was not registered online with an account. He reportedly didn't even use the family computer and didn't really touch online communications at all. This was backed up by digital forensic investigations that failed to turn up any online presence from Andrew whatsoever. His family did confirm to investigators that Andrew knew several people who lived in London, but none of these people have reported seeing Andrew on the date of or after his disappearance. The next theory that was well publicized in the British media was that Andrew had possibly gone to London to attend a gig or some sort of music-related event. Andrew loved his metal music, and a few gigs were going on around that time. But if that were the case, then why would he buy a one-way ticket? There were no sightings of Andrew at any of these music events, and there has been no proof to suggest that Andrew had tickets for any of these events either. The last theory is one that Andrew's father, Kevin, came up with. Kevin postulated that perhaps Andrew left to start a new life somewhere without the intervention of his family. His family were religious, but also said that they were open to sexuality and gender expression. This theory ties in with an interesting clue that came to light in 2018. It's important to preface this next section by saying that Andrew's nickname was Rue, and it was a nickname that only those closest to him knew and called him. According to reports, an anonymous witness told the police that in 2018, he had a conversation with someone online by the name of Andy Rue. The two people had started talking, and Andy Rue asked the anonymous witness for £200 so that he could pay his rent. This Andy Rue person went on to explain that he had left home at 14 and didn't have a bank account, so sending money via bank transfer would be difficult. He said that he needed the money because his boyfriend had left him, but never went into further detail about his private life. This lead gave the Metropolitan Police and the South Yorkshire Police a glimmer of hope, but it appears the person calling themselves Andy Rue has never been formally identified, and we cannot confirm whether or not this person is Andrew Gosden. Following Andrew's disappearance, his family traveled to London to hand out flyers and to appeal to witnesses and anyone with information to come forward. Kevin and Glennis have been the driving force behind keeping Andrew's name in the media, and they've continued to put pressure on the South Yorkshire Police and the Metropolitan Police to investigate his disappearance. This case has been incredibly well publicized, and in towns and cities across the UK, Andrew's missing person poster can still be seen. The charity UK Missing Persons works with the families of those who are missing to create posters, and they also run a tip line for those with information or for those who are missing and need someone to talk to. Despite all this media attention and investigation, no trace of Andrew has ever been located. After he left King's Cross Station, he seemingly vanished into thin air, and the investigation has laid dormant ever since. Well, that was until January 22, when once again the Andrew Gosden case made headlines. On January 11, 2022, the BBC published an article titled, "Andrew Gosden, 2 men arrested for trafficking and kidnapping." This headline shocked the nation, and the details of the arrest would shock them even more. According to the BBC, 2 men, aged 38 and 45, were arrested in December in London on suspicion of kidnap and human trafficking. The 45-year-old man was also arrested on suspicion of possessing indecent images. The 2 men were released on bail pending a further investigation, and the Metropolitan Police and the South Yorkshire Police are currently working the case. No further details have been released in regards to these charges, and the police are keeping their cards very close to their chests. Throughout the years, several age progression photos have been issued to show what Andrew may look like now as an adult. The River Thames has been searched numerous times by divers and with a sonar scanner, but this has not turned up any leads either. The South Yorkshire Police and the Metropolitan Police, along with Andrew's family, continue to search for him and hope that one day they will have answers or at least closure. Andrew Gosden was last seen wearing a Slipknot t-shirt, dark jeans, and was carrying a bag containing his keys, wallet, and PSP gaming system. He had bought a one-way ticket from Doncaster to King's Cross, London, and was last seen leaving King's Cross Station at 11:25 a.m. on September 14, 2007. Andrew has brown hair, has a unique double ridge on his right ear, is deaf in his left ear, and wears strong prescription glasses. Anyone with any information is asked to please contact 101 UK Missing People on 116000, the South Yorkshire Police on 0114-220-2020, the Metropolitan Police on 4420-7230-1212, or Crime Stoppers on 0800-555-111.
All right. Tales Untold, Missing Person Mysteries. Shout out to Steve Stockton for always being a part of the After Hours radio show. We do appreciate that. But now that that's over, you know what time it is. It's time to bring back our guy for a brief appearance. He'll explain as we jump into the After Hours wrap up with Drew.
You're name of a monster!
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! Get in my belly!
Kick him in the north! He doesn't have north! Do it! Wolfman's got north! You're a monster!
None other than Drew Banky joining us right here, right now, as the stars align to go ahead and get him in here for the After Hours wrap up. What's going on with you, Drewski?
Nothing much, man. Just in the middle of moving still. Just got slowed down on some paperwork. But yeah, just closing next Friday. So as you can see, the office is all cleared out and packed up, and just leaving the camera up until the last minute just in case. So
Yeah, that works out. So awesome stuff. I was I was on your Facebook and I seen you you and the little goats, the baby goats chasing you. Seeing as how you delivered the goats, right? So that was pretty awesome sight to see, man. If you want to talk about some of that.
yeah, no, this we let them out all the time and just graze it. It's free food, so might as well let them out. And the little babies are to the point now. I think they're like maybe a month now or a month plus. I'm not sure how old they are now, but they're all running around and jumping around and everything. But they follow me around like a herd. Like
Yes.
like wherever I go, they're following me around. Especially if I got to get them back in their pen, I just I got like a cereal box and a little bit of cereal, and I just shake it, and they're come running wherever they're at. So
Dude, it just reminded me of Mama Duck and Baby Duck, man. Because the way you didn't even look back, man. You just was straightforward walking through, and here come the babies running behind you. I'm like, dude, look at this guy, the goat whisperer over here, Drew Banky. But yeah, Drew, we had Tom King on here, and I know you met him before. You know, awesome being able to collect data on your own as a sky watcher, or really anything that you may consider yourself within the community. I think he gave great advice to people out there on how they could become sky watchers. Pretty simple. Just get a phone, get an old phone that has good battery, and a holder, and just point it at the sky. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah, I've done that before, but for like not for sky watching, but for like meteor showers. So I do that, and then I make videos and stuff, and it's really cool to see like the movement of the stars going across and everything. Because you can compress it down. You don't have to
Time lapse.
you don't have to have the whole video, but you can compress it down. And yeah, but yeah, it's a great idea to do that for sure. But every time I go outside, I make, especially at night, and we talked about this before. We brought up the whole tobacco thing and smoking outside, and it's just interesting. That was one of the first things he brought up, and I was like, I can really relate to that, because I always have that last smoke at the end of the night and walk outside and look up, and that's when it happens a lot. But I always make sure I have my phone like charged and at least halfway charged. I never walk outside without it being at least 40-50%. But yeah, because you just never know. I mean, how many times have I been outside and wish I'd had my phone in my hand and inside, and that moment when you go inside to get it and come back out, it's gone. So.
It's funny you say that, because as I was talking to Tom earlier about every time I go outside, as soon as I get up under the sky, I mean, the first thing I do is I look right above my head. Then I look right over there. Then I look behind me over there above the house. And I just look around. I do my scoping real quick. And I will not go outside without taking my phone camera with me. I just will not do it. It has to be on me, period, regardless what I'm going outside to do. Because I understand it's a natural thing though for me. It's not like, I'm making myself do it. I just do it. You know what I mean? Because I understand that it's that fleeting moment that you might get when you get out there. But see, that's the other part of it is, and the question we always ask skeptics is, when they say, prove it to me, or show me a video, or show me a photo. I've never seen UFO. I don't think that they're real. And the first question you ask them is, how much time have you spent looking up? Have you gone outside and looked up before? Because that's the only way you're going to see something. And so to take a step further, and also to people out there who want to see something, who've never seen anything, this phone idea is probably the best idea that you could ever get when it comes to having this sighting. Because yeah, you may not have been there present in the moment when it happened, but your film still captured something really, really weird. And I think that's the key there. So I don't know what you think about that.
For sure. Having a phone on you, I mean, it's the simplest thing. Like we have, especially the technology we have now. I don't know what we're up to now, like 15 or iPhone 15 or 16 or something like that. Like it has, my phone has amazing capabilities, like zoom in, like, and all that stuff, still shots, and just for that. But I even go as far as to get the camera ready, like before I go outside, especially if like my ears are ringing or something like that. And I was talking, someone from MUFON reached out to me, and we were talking about a few of my experiences recently. And just a few days ago, we were talking just about that, about having just your phone out and ready, because sometimes you don't know like when it's going to happen. And lots of times when it does happen, you're so flustered, like you're trying to pull out your phone or get the settings right on your phone. I like to get that ready first. And what I was talking with about MUFON was lots of times like my ears would be ringing and I'll step outside and there'd be something going on, especially like when the tinnitus, quote unquote, goes from one ear to the other or back and forth like that wave motion back and forth. That's what has when I go outside, and lots of times that's when I'm taking a picture. So
I think another thing that would be cool, kind of adding on to this, would be not only because I'm just thinking right now, if everyone listening or anybody who watches this show says, you know what, I'm going to try that tomorrow night. I'm going to go out. I have this extra phone that I never use, has a great camera on it. I'm going to plug it up to an extension cord so it keeps power. I'm going to put in my 1 gigabyte micro SD card. I'm going to run video all night long. And if everybody did that, what the results would be just after, as Tom just said, 2 hours, and then 7 times that you do that, you're going to catch something. And I believe that ratio, that sounds about right. Now, imagine if we went a step further and not only got people on the path of pointing cameras up at the sky, but then also having like maybe neighborhood groups, the same way we do like with other things in the community. We get together with our neighbors and we have these meetings. Think if you had a sky watcher group in the neighborhood that had cameras pointed up at the sky, because not only are you going to get whatever you're getting, but you're also going to get different perspectives and angles of the same object. And it's like, okay, when we think about what we can do from our level as just the citizens in humanity, that's actually great. We're not only are we getting the footage, but we're getting different perspectives, so we can kind of calculate, distance and size and things of that nature. And if just imagine if we adopted that mindset as just the regular community, where we would go, we for surely would get disclosure without needing the government or scientists collecting additional data. What do you think about that?
I'm going to throw another bone in there. Quantum physics tells us like when we have one or more like ideas, like it starts to build, and two people, it's exponential growth. 3 people, it's even more, and it goes on and on and on. So it just builds like that. Like we have individual manifestation energy, but when it's agreed upon by 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, we're getting into quantum physics at that point, and like I like very advanced ideas of quantum physics, and that's it's starting to be, it's not even woo anymore. It's starting to be proven that's doable. Like the mass meditations for peace and things like that. So you think about you change the mass meditations for peace to quote unquote like a mass meditation for UFOs. That's essentially what's going on. And if you get everybody in the same, like on the same wavelength of what they're really looking for, I think the possibilities are endless. And I think that's what's happening now. I think more and more people, like, they're tapped into consciousness, they're tapped into source, just like we all are. And the more that the collective starts to move forward and accept more and more, that's why this phenomenon is in turn unfolding more and more and more, because it's coming from us collectively.
And then just leading up to this show, and I don't even know why, but on my own channel, like a few weeks ago, a little over a month ago, I'd done a show just talking about standardizing evidence in the Bigfoot field, because I felt like it's disorganized and they could be a lot further along if they standardized evidence. And then I started looking around at like Skywatcher, for instance, and how I applaud them for putting together a chart which kind of at least allows visually people to understand there's these different shapes. Now we can actually have a situation where we can capture data as citizens and then put them in these, fill in the dots as far as the chart goes. And then as I talked to Tom, maybe there could be some morphine or twerking done there to kind of make it a little different, but the same idea, where we can now have this solid evidence and have a place to put it and actually make it be understandable for people across the chart here. And we'll talk more about that as we come back from our last commercial break right here on the After Hours Radio Show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and the guy right here next to me, Drew Banky, stepping in for the After Hours wrap up. We will be right back after this break. All right, we are clear. We are clear. Awesome stuff, Drewski. Stepping out, man, in the middle of a move, man. I know that's a big deal, man. I know you got all this stuff going on over there. How close are you to getting into your new place?
Well, for one, it's a good distraction, just to have something to do other than moving. So it's a give and take for sure. But and we're not doing anything in the middle of the night. But we're pretty much packed up. We're supposed to close on the 1st, like I said, but just some paperwork things happened with the appraisal. Had to shift some things around, and it's just all paperwork holding up really. But we're all set now and set for next Friday. So everything always turns everything's always turns out like it's supposed to, and we're closing on the 11th. So it's no surprise, when they, and we didn't decide that. They decided that, the realtors and the title company and everything. They're like, yeah, I think the new day's going to be the 11th. I'm like, yeah, of course it is.
That's awesome. I was like, wait a minute, is Drew moving by wagon? Is he moving by stagecoach and wagon, or what?
No, just it's not for the faint of heart. Closing, buying a property, closing, and then selling a property and on the same day. So we're going to be closing on both properties on the 11th. So yeah, it's just a lot to line up, and getting movers and getting transport for the animals and everything. And yeah.
Anything weird happening during this time? Like any synchronicity or something strange that you just can't explain happened during this move?
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff. One thing happened. It was with the title. Like the people that we bought it from, they had some type of typo on the title, and the title company called us and they're like, hey, can you get in touch with these people? And they're like, well, the previous owners are like in their mid 70s, and they actually just went through a divorce. So the one guy, you can't get in touch with them, all this stuff. And basically the title company's like, we need to get the signatures for an amended title for these people to get it corrected so we can close. If not, we might, if we can't get these signatures, you're going to have to go to court. It'd be like 6 months to go through court to get it corrected, all this stuff. And so me and Ella tried like for 2 days straight, just trying to call people, track people down, trying to get these people to sign. We found one person, she didn't want to sign. She was about to go into surgery. There's all just types, like all these blockages, like from us getting it done like that. And then all of a sudden title company just messaged us and said it's all clear, everything's fine. And we still don't know how or why, but yeah, that was like one of the last big hurdles. And then the appraisal was less than what our asking price was, so we had to come down $5,000 off the price from 205 to 200,000. So, and yeah, the buyer didn't have any money to make up the difference, so we kind of had to just eat $5,000. So,
wow,
just to get it done. So we're making up somewhere else.
That's what I'm saying. Just get it done. Just get behind you. Spend that first night in there worry-free and stress-free. Had that first good night's sleep in the new place. That's always a good feeling. And you're almost there, man. So we'll be rooting for you. And so next weekend, so you're doing that. Are you going to be back here the following weekend, do you think? Or what do you think?
Should be.
Okay.
All right. Should be. But yeah, we're moving into the new place on Friday, so I don't think I can get everything set up before Saturday night.
Well, we'll throw a contest out there and see which one of the viewers wants to step in for Drew Banky and do the after hours wrap up. Now we couldn't do that because I can't trust anyone but my guy here. Maybe we will have Tim James step in though for the weekend and do the spot, or Grant Tavius Max, somebody. But last week we kind of just chilled out, and maybe we'll do that again. I just didn't have the segment lined up. But maybe I'll put some fun together. I don't know. We'll see. To be determined. As we got about 5 seconds left here before we come back. 3 seconds. Let's go. You know what that means. Let me go ahead and bring us back up here. Give me just a second here. I really got to figure this program out here because I don't know why it does that. But here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We're on the back half of the third hour. Back in the building with our guy, Drew Banky, with the After Hours wrap-up. We had a fantastic show today. Tom King stepped in, Skywatcher, experienced the Phoenix Lights way back in 1997. A lot of awesome insight and perspective. If you missed any of that show, please jump in the archive. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. So as we go ahead and jump back into the conversation with Drew Banky. So yeah, we were talking about, maybe it'd be awesome if everyone could adopt the whole idea of just looking up at the sky. I'm guilty as well for, truthfully, since my sighting, I don't look up as much. And I always feel like, man, what could I have missed, or what have I missed? Because I'm just not out there as often anymore looking up. And I know I missed something. There has to be. And one perfect example was, and I get to tell this story finally, it was a beautiful situation where my daughter stepped in, and I was in the studio, just like with my UFO sighting, and I get called outside. And I'm like, okay, this time, I already know what this means, because they won't tell me why. They just like, come outside. So I come outside. I look up at the sky. They point to the sky, and it is a trail in the sky, a smoke trail. And this is right at dusk. The sun has already gone down, but it's a little bright in the sky, especially things that are high altitude. So the smoke had the sun reflecting off of it, so it looked like it was glowing. So that just shows you how high it was up in the atmosphere. Now, this ended up being a SpaceX rocket. Actually, I was watching the SpaceX rocket launch, and it was leaving the atmosphere. They pointed to the object. I could still see it going before it disappeared as it left Earth. And it was amazing to see that. And I was immediately able, because of his, previous things, we know what SpaceX looks like. And I was able to tell them right then and there, nope, that's SpaceX, but still an awesome catch. And it showed the fact that my daughter, who is the one who called everyone out, was the one that stepped forward and thought to pull her phone out, capture what it was she was seeing, be amazed by it, call out other people to kind of look at this. And she was almost disappointed when I told her, nope, it's just SpaceX and Starlink. She just really wanted it to be something else. I was able to educate her in the moment that no, it wasn't. And it just showed me that a kid who, at the beginning of all this, kind of laughed at UFOs and the whole thing, and the experiences that I've told everyone about that we've had, so things walking on the roof and all these things that have happened since then, the shadow people that was captured on her camera. She is now at a place where she is proactively catching this stuff out in the sky. And it was just a beautiful full circle moment. I let her know that it was still an important capture, because no one really, we've been here 5 years at this place, and we've never captured Starlink or SpaceX rocket launching. So that was awesome. And it was just, it was that full circle moment for someone pulling their phone out, boom, capturing whatever it was, and then figuring it out later. And we talk about this all the time. So it was a beautiful moment for me, Drew Banky. What you got to say?
Yeah, I get it. This was my stepdaughter, we went years after me and Ella got together of her like scuffing at the spirituality stuff and the UFO stuff and all these things. And it was, man, maybe it was 3-4 years ago. She was in high school, and she got up in the morning for school, and she's like, Drew, she's like, you never believe what I saw last night. I was like, try me. I was like, I won't believe it. Like, I'm pretty open-minded, as you know. Well, she's like, last night, the moon was glowing in my window, so I got up to close the curtain because it was really bright, and I looked out my window and I saw the moon, and I saw it moving, and it was good. It got like real close to the house. It got like within like a half mile of the house, like super bright. And then I looked over and I saw the moon like off to the right in the distance, and what was in front of the house like took off. So she had her own experience, and it was so big she thought it was the moon at first until it like coming down in front of the yard. But I was like, man, that's an experience that I've like prayed for and like visualized and like tried to manifest, tried to ask for, like, and for her to have that experience, like, now then she was a believer after that. She's been a believer ever since. So I totally get what you're talking about when one of your kids finally like has their own experience, and it feels good for yourself because deep down that kid's like, man, my crazy dad is having to talk about all this stuff, and then to have an experience like that, then they start to really get like why you're so passionate about it. So I totally understand what you're talking about, man. But
Exactly,
the whole
man.
Bigfoot, what we were talking about before the break, I do want to touch on that a little bit. The whole Bigfoot thing, man, anybody really wants to experience Bigfoot, like I put this out before, Jim White on the Santee Dakota Res, like a UWIPI ceremony, that's a really good way to experience a Bigfoot. And he's put it out there before that the spirits are calling, these spirits that are part of this ceremony are calling for people to come out, and not just anybody, well, anybody really, but particularly they want people like scientists, things like that can go out there and experience that and come back and articulate in a way that people can start to understand and start to understand this is a real phenomenon, like this is, and they're interdimensional beings, like, and to start to really put some type of context to that, and because it is a real thing, everything that I've seen and experienced says it's real. So that's just my own personal experience from it. But I do know that those entities, the energy, whatever you want to call it, is deeply tied to the UWIPI ceremony.
And here's the thing with that, Drew, and that's great information. And for someone who wants to experience it, definitely consider this. But I have been recently critical of the community in general, because I'm starting to feel like we should be self-policing ourselves anyways from the inside. So I've been critical about certain things that I've brought up. And when I was looking around, I recently done a show about how, for whatever reason, when we look at evidence that the Bigfoot community just isn't there yet on structure in a way for them to move forward as far as their research goes. And I was just like, hey, I think we should, raise the standard of evidence required when it comes to doing this, because I want to see them move forward too with the conversation. Because yes, I agree that from people that I've talked to, that there's definitely something out there. And not only that, but you have the indigenous tribes globally who talk about this Bigfoot being out there. And this is at a time where they could not communicate with each other. So it doesn't make sense that everyone is able to have this story and then there not be something to it. But then fast forward to the evidence that's out there, that it's like, okay, what bars are people setting for the standard of evidence when it comes to proving that Bigfoot is real? And I feel like the standard is so low that That's why it seems like out of the paranormal, the UFO, and then now the Bigfoot, it feels like they're so far behind of other parts of the phenomena when it comes to showing that something is there. Now, take that as you may. Some people are like, I had a person when I was doing the show come in and say, "Oh, are you trying to say there's no such thing as Bigfoot?" And I'm like, no, I'm not. There's obviously something there because of the stories and because of this and that. There's obviously something there. But what are the researchers in that field doing to gather that evidence and then move that conversation forward? I don't know if you have any ideas, but I had said something as wild as, I was like, I was just thinking one day, I was like, you know what? Bigfoot are covered in hair, head to toe. We know all mammals that have hair, anything living sheds hair. With that being said, one Bigfoot should carry probably 1 billion strands of hair, and if it's got to be shedding all over the forest. And if you have multiple ones and you have these maybe even places where they get together or where they travel frequently, you should be able to take something like a lint roller and kind of pick up some sort of something that would be considered evidence to move the conversation forward. And I just threw that out there, right? So I don't know if you have any suggestions or frustrations or feelings about why that evidence just can't seem to be brought forward or why people won't do it. I just don't get it.
Because I don't think it's a physical being. I don't think they leave traces of hair like that. And have you seen like pictures of like footprints, like plaster footprints and stuff like that? They basically look like, a lot of them look like saucepan, like a saucepan. Like literally, there's no definition in them or anything. You really can't tell any from them. They're like, this is an imprint of a Bigfoot foot, and it's because it's 18 inches long or 20 inches long. That means it's a Bigfoot foot. Could be a barefoot. Could be a tree fell down and made an indention in the dirt. Who knows? But I don't. When the only time I've experienced Bigfoot was in a UWIPI ceremony, like I said before. Come in through. It was a closed windows, closed doors. They come in and out of that room, and other beings come in and out of that room. So anytime someone says that they're trying to like track down Bigfoot in the woods, stuff like that, without like the spiritual aspect of it or the energetic aspect of it, like that they're trying to hunt an animal, you're never gonna. That's like trying to hunt the predator. Like this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is hardcore truth or anything. This is from my perspective, but you're not hunting an animal. You're hunting it's like you're hunting the predator. How from the movie The Predator, like it'd be like hunting the predator. It's invisible. It moves through. It can cloak itself at any time, and I think it goes way beyond that. I think it can go in and out of our reality. I think it's a higher dimensional being than us, and I think it goes in and out of our reality. Go down into the Everglades and talk to the Miccosukee tribe or the Seminole tribe or the Miccosukee Seminole tribe. There's 3 different tribes down there, and ask any of them about swamp ape, and a lot of them will tell you multiple stories of encountering these beings. I encountered, the very first time I encountered something like that was down there. It was footsteps in the leaves, walked all the way up to me, and nothing visible, but I could hear footsteps in the leaves, and it walked all the way right up to me.
See, now that makes a lot of sense. I prefer to look at it that way, like it's so elusive and it's so not in a place where it can be captured, which makes more sense on why it wouldn't be and why there's not the ability. But then you have a subset of the community that says they see it all the time, or says they interact with it all the time, or that they give it. One place I was using this like a gifting spot. Okay, even if it is stepping in and out of our existence, it would frequent this gifting spot, and it should be a place where you capture some sort of something. And it's just like, if we look at it in this way, if it's elusive like the predator, does it ever get validated, or does it stay in the story realm more than the evidence realm going forward? Like, is there ever a moment? Because the things that we want to you see as evidence, which is normally like photos or things like that. Well, you get the response, well, they can detect cameras, and so they won't show themselves unless they detect cameras. But then we have Patterson Gimlin film where the Bigfoot is walking and it turns and looks directly at the camera. Then it's like, okay, well, that camera was mechanical. Okay, well, should we then now be taking mechanical cameras out in the field for research then, if this is the way that we can actually get them or catch them? And it's like every time you have an answer, it gets shut down by this is why you can't do it, or this is why you can't do it, instead of trying to find a way to actually gather more evidence. And that's kind of the frustration part that I'm at, and why I'm because I'm not a Bigfoot researcher myself, but I always ask when I speak to them, what is it that we can do to kind of move the needle forward in that conversation? Because you spend a lot of time on it, and it's like, what would you recommend? And it's always, a story where I don't want to show them, or I don't want to tell you where they're at. Well, we don't know if they can die. We don't know if we can affect them in any way, especially if they're interdimensional. We don't know if we can even interact with them on that level. So why is that the concern? And it's like all these hurdles that we have to jump through to try to further that evidence. And I'm just like, I want to help do it. I want to see it get done, because there are families that go out in the woods all the time on family escapades, and they know there's bears there. They know there's mountain lions there that are dangerous, but they don't know about Bigfoot. And maybe they should, if this is something that they could bump into when they go out there. And it's like, if it's a chance they can bump into this while they're out there, it is up to the researchers to kind of make sure that they do what they can to bring the evidence forward enough to at least put a sign up out there and warn people, or give people the chance to say, you know what, I'd rather not go in, because I don't want to run into a Bigfoot. And kind of just that whole being able to control your own path sort of thing. And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. But going back to maybe why they haven't been able to be detected or like photographed, this is what I've experienced twice in ceremony. One was a UWIPI ceremony. I left my phone in my car. They always tell you to shut your phone off, like going to a UWIPI ceremony, even if you're leaving in your car, like close to that ceremony that's a high electrical charge. I've had my phone blanked out twice in different ceremonies, like, not very old. There's no reason for it to crash out like that, but it literally will not work anymore. Just be black. And it won't turn on, and just dead to the world. And that's happened twice when I didn't turn my phone off when it was close to a ceremony. And the other one was Sundance. But so these ceremonies have a very high electrical charge. When we had Augie on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about how he made that thing of the electromagnetic detector for when ships are coming into his area, like around his house or whatever. That really struck with me, because I kind of do the same thing, but with like quote unquote tinnitus. So there's electrical component to these ceremonies, and like when like the really deep ones, is like the Sundance, UWIPI ceremonies, things like that. The things that don't work with any psychedelics is just like frequency and vibration. There's a high electrical charge that comes along with those ceremonies. So that could be that's one of the reasons why you won't get a whole lot of audio or video recordings from these ceremonies. I think Black Elk has some audio recordings from a ceremony that he did, but a UWIPI ceremony. But yeah, I think it's a electrical thing as far as that goes. But that's, I don't know, but it's something that people need to talk about more with people that's really experienced that. And I don't know how to bona fide that, or how to test people like that. Maybe put on a lie detector or something like that. But you go onto a res and you talk to a medicine man that has dealt with UFO ceremonies, i.e. Jim White or many other people. These very powerful ceremonies and Bigfoot and the little people are deeply connected to them, and I've experienced both in ceremony.
And it's just like I was telling Tom earlier. I think what we're going to find out eventually is that the phenomena is actually the fact that we don't see all these things or realize that this is actually a totally different place than we think that we live in. And once our eyes are open to that we're actually the phenomena. What's going on here is just normal business and has been forever. But, when I look around the community, and I'm an integrity guy. I like dealing with integrity and being dealt with that way. And it's just like, on the face of it, I try to figure out why we get statements like blowing up ufology. And I don't want our community to be looked at in that way. I don't want our community to be laughed at or taken as a joke, because there are so many of us in this community that take this so seriously and do this in a serious manner and are trying to actually get to the answers. And I just want to make sure that, I want to be the one to kind of help change the way that this community is looked at, because I know there's enough of us that really want to know what these things are and really want to try to bring as much evidence as we can to the forefront. But then, as I pointed out in one of my videos, you have a lot of people that sit up here and are actually hoaxing the situation and being caught doing it. And it's like, well, those people should be not in the conversation if we're trying to get to the truth. Because yes, I believe I haven't personally, but I've talked to people who have video and have seen things fly off of shelves, and that would be related to paranormal. You can't fake that. We've had people that have seen these craft land, things get out of them. You can't fake that. We have the indigenous people who have seen things that they describe as Sasquatch or Bigfoot, a creature like this for thousands of years. You can't fake that, especially because they couldn't talk to each other. But it's like, okay, so the people who have actually experienced it want to know the truth. There is a group of us that do that, but then there's a group that just makes it up, and I don't respect that part of the community. I wish there was a way to separate the two. That's all Lou Elizondo was saying by blow up ufology. And we'll kind of leave it there, because we need to self-police ourselves in this community. And I'll leave the last word for you here, as we got about 20 seconds left.
I just look up to the sky. This is a good time to be looking up at the sky right now. Anytime when we have a bunch of fireworks, it seems to trigger some activity in the sky. So after the show, go outside, take your phone outside, and point up to the sky and start to record and see what you can find. So much love, everybody. See you in a few weeks.
And to answer this question, Deb Sacramento, thanks for the super chat, saying, okay, Rob J, got to ask a serious question. What are you going to do when you're around the corner in the woods and Bigfoot is looking down at you? Well, number one, I understand Bigfoot is likely out there, so I won't be in the woods. But if I ever did, I would run away as fast as I could in the opposite direction. We definitely want to thank you for that question. We want to thank Tom King for stepping in here talking sky watching, the best way that you can be a sky watcher yourself. We want to thank Drew Banky for stepping in during his big move. We also want to thank the man that you hear right there, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot. He's the man that rocks the sound each and every show and lets us know that never say never again, because yes, the phenomena is real, which means anything and everything we talk about beneath that is real. If you enjoyed the show tonight, make sure you throw your like finger up and also throw your horns up. We appreciate you tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, Drew Banky?
We own the night.
We own the night. This is copyright SOR Media Ventures Limited, Spaced Out Radio. It's been a pleasure serving you guys. Once again, as your host, I'm Mr. Rob G. This is Drew Banky. This is the After Hours Radio Show. To all you space travelers out there, this is not a goodbye nor a farewell. However, you can best believe next time we'll be right here, doing same time, same place, doing the same dang thing. See you guys next time. Much love. Take care. All right, that is that. Great show, everybody. We appreciate you guys coming on out for the show tonight. We are going to get up out of here. We're going to do a replay tomorrow with the live chat as I celebrate my birthday. Thank you for all the birthday wishes out there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show tonight, and I will see you guys next week. You know, we got Dave Scott rocking this Monday through Friday here on the channel, 9 p.m. until midnight. Also, we have UFO Max Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific. We have Element 115 Fridays at 8 p.m. Pacific, right before Dave. And we have Dirty Filth with Cryptic Cartoons Saturdays at 2 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you're here for all this and that. And back here for the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. You guys have been awesome. Drew Banky, appreciate you coming on in, man, as always, and spending your time. Hopefully next time we see you, we'll be in the new place, man. And you'll at least have that first night with your family there. So looking forward to that. We'll talk to all you guys soon.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, sir. We are out of here. Take care.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.